number one, all right, if you're mad about it, that's okay. You know what I mean? That's not what the issue. Did you tell him before you got into that how phenomenal the show was with us?
Yes, I did. Of course I did.
Not just me, with you.
What?
What do you mean?
Did you tell him how you did?
Yeah, I said we both did. We both did very well. It was great.
Just now you said Dice did a good job, like you were, sort of judging my performance.
Well, he is judging your performance.
No,
they asked me how it went.
Howard, I'm saying the reason we did this show, we wanted to see how we would be as a team together performing, and I'm still raving about the show.
Well, Artie said that you were great, he was great.
Okay.
Artie did say probably that he was just as responsible for bringing in the crowd as you were.
Okay.
And he kind of was saying...
And as a free opening act, he was great.
Yeah, and he said, not only did I accept $5,000, but really, I didn't get any money for it. But Artie also said, I'm going to fill you in on everything, Dice, so you're not in the dark. Artie said, look, Artie headlines shows, and he has other comedians working for him. He pays them that night on the spot, and he makes sure it happens. There's no reason why Artie had to wait. Am I misquoting you, Artie?
No, that's exactly right.
No, it's okay. I'll go through it with you. I have no problem going through it with you. But I don't know why you didn't just call me, because, number one, I called up. No, this is what happened. Number one, I didn't tell him I'd pay him that night. I wait till I get paid, and then I send the checks out, okay? So now what happened is I actually called you, Artie. I was in Florida 4 or 5 days ago, and I actually left you another message going, call me up and leave me the address for your agent so I could send the check.
Artie, did that happen?
I never got that message.
So wait a minute. So yesterday, when I got all these calls, I just got back to L.A. Sunday night.
Artie, you calling Dice a liar?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I don't know if something happened with the phone. I never got that message.
No, I left that message. You get 1,000 messages from me. That one you didn't get. But I'm telling you what I did. Yesterday I did get to your agent, and I said, give me your address.
That was yesterday.
Send the check out.
But, Dice, was that a reaction to Artie complaining on the air?
What bothers me... No. What bothers me... No, I've been trying to call Artie just for that information. I didn't come home from Atlanta.
Artie's shaking his head that you're bullshitting.
No, I'm saying I never got that message.
Look, I wouldn't I got no reason to bullshit him. Number one, what gets me crazier than everything is not the fact that you didn't get paid. I mean, I got no problem paying you. What bothers me more is that what I heard about that the show was half sold, so Artie was on the show.
That's true.
No, but
that's what Artie said.
When I first went on Howard's show, the time I asked you, whatever it was, whatever day that was.
Right.
There were 200 seats left to be sold. By the time I was done with Howard's show, this is why I give you all that credit, Howard. The tickets were gone.
So you didn't really need Artie, is what you're saying.
No, not for that show. If I would have went into the bigger room... And I'll tell you the truth, they were chanting for Artie to come out. I mean, what's happened since I've come on your show is that, I'm getting people that buy Sirius coming to the show.
Right.
Whether it's in Florida, whether it's in Vegas, Atlantic City. All I wanted to do was finally team up with Artie because I heard about his performing ability and, team up like these guys do, the blue-collar guys, these guys. So... people have been telling me about Artie, so I said, well, let's try this. Now, if we would have...
See, I'm going to be honest with you. Artie thinks...
No, but let me...
Can I tell you what Artie thinks?
Okay.
Because Artie's not man enough to tell you himself.
No.
Are you scribbling notes to her?
No, I don't understand what you...
Artie told me something.
Let me ask him about what he just said, though.
Okay.
So you say... Are you claiming that... Before I announced that I was going to be a part of the Borgata show, you had already sold it out?
No, I'm saying there were 200 tickets left to sell when I came on Stern's show.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And then what I
am saying, this I'll admit to, when we announced, or you announced that you're going to do the show with me, I got calls to go into the bigger room. Let's open this up and go into the, they have a bigger room there. Either that or add a second show. Because there were so many calls coming in, we could have done a second show And that I would have given you a lot of credit for. And you know what? If we would have done that, I would have even gave a lot more money because you would have had a lot to do with that second show.
Okay, I get it. So that part I agree with. But when would I have gotten this money?
Yeah, when is he getting his money?
Well, it's in a trust, Artie.
You know what I mean?
Dice has actually invested it for you, and he's waiting to watch it grow.
Yeah, I didn't know he wanted a paper bag that night.
But Dice, come on, you work with comics. You get paid that night or the next day. I mean, come on.
The next day, I gotta live my life. I gotta get back to L.A. and take care of business. That's what happened.
Well, I got to live my life, too.
What, couldn't you get out of town, Artie?
Look, you weren't depending on your life for the, since you said it on the air, the $5,000 I gave you. And,
You don't know that. Artie bets heavily.
But what does that have to do with anything?
It has nothing.
It's my money.
I know it's your money, but, I got to come back and when I come back out of town, the first thing I do is take care of everybody that's with me on the road and have all the checks sent out. I run it like a business. I'm not getting in my car and running to a
divvying up
15
cash
minutes away. I'm all over the country.
How do you do it, Artie, when you have comics working for you?
You can ask anybody who's ever worked for me. That I either tell the guy who's promoting the gig, I say, listen, you got to cut this guy a check for this amount, me a check for this amount. If they have a problem with that, I make sure that night the comic gets a check.
All right.
Either from my account, if I get the full amount, or from the guy.
It's your fault that you didn't say, Dice, can I get paid that night? I didn't know you expected to get paid that night.
I guess it's my fault that I didn't specify. But it's 10 days later and I don't have the check.
Well, call your agent. I spoke to him.
I called my agent 20 times this week.
Did you talk to him yesterday?
Dice, I talked to him. I had to go to Pittsburgh after we worked together, and I called him and I said, Dice didn't pay me. He said, I'll call Dice's agent. He started calling your agent a week ago. Your agent said, I don't know anything about this. Dice is on the road. I can't get him. And I said, well, as of right now, I haven't gotten paid.
What you're saying is that I was on the road.
Dice, what does that have to do with anything that you were on the road? I mean, I got to wait for you to get off the road to get $5,000?
And I'm not. No, when I come home, I take care of business. What's the?
Well, when are you getting home so we can get that? Let me know.
No,
He's never going home again.
I mean, now you're starting to piss me off. I mean, you call me a bull. You never call me this week, ever. I never got a fucking phone call from you.
Now you call me a liar because I did leave.
I'm not calling you a liar. All I'm saying is maybe my phone fucked up. I didn't get a phone message from you.
I'm calling you a liar. What I'm saying is, I called you and said, I need your agent's address to send the check.
Never got that message. I gave you, remember after the Borgata, we were sitting in your dressing room?
Yeah,
you said write down your corporation's name and your agent's name. I did. I handed you that piece of paper that night thinking, okay, maybe I'll get it, Monday. It's a Friday night.
I didn't know you needed it. And if you would have said, you want to know, if you would have actually told me, can I just get paid that night in advance, I would have had a check cut for you just to give you there.
Artie's saying it's embarrassing to say that. He thinks he's supposed to just know that.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying, what does it matter if I need the money or not? It's my money.
I'm not needing the money. I just take care of it.
He's saying he waits.
I go all over. You had to drive 10 minutes to go do your gig. I went to a few different cities. I come home. I'm going to cut. The check's been cut already because now tell me you didn't talk to your agent yesterday.
I did. I'm admitting to that. I talked to him yesterday.
Say that I'm sending the check.
He left me a message and said, I talked to Dice, call me back. I didn't get a chance.
But that's what the call was about. What do you think it was? I want to go out with the guy?
Dice, it's still 10 days later.
Okay, so what do you want? A bonus?
No, I want my money. I don't want a bonus. I want the money we agreed to.
Why can't we get past this? Why is it always about money? You're the one that even said to me before the gig, I don't even care if I get paid. And I said, no, I got to pay you.
Dice, when did you get paid for the Borgata gig?
They gave me a check, half the check that night.
Okay. And when did you get the other half?
Now, I didn't send the check till yesterday because I came home Sunday.
So how is that my problem?
No, it's not your problem. So I send the check to the accountant. I call the accountant. I give him your agent's number. and I say, cut the check, since I don't know why you talk about what you make on the air. It's stupid. But I told them, cut the check for Artie and send it to him. That's it.
All right, well, I'll let you know when I get the check.
Are you saying that Dice could have made that same phone call from the road, Artie?
But
I guess, there's a lot of ways of getting in touch with people nowadays.
Howard, number one, I never worked with the guy before, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking anyway. If he wanted to check that night, that's all he would have had to say. And I would have taken care of it in advance of leaving L.A.
Actually, I think this is Dice giving Artie a little more credit. He doesn't think Artie's desperate for $5,000, so he's taking his time. He's getting home. He's going to...
Why should that matter? I mean, Howard's not desperate for his paycheck coming next week.
Just expect it on time.
Exactly.
Right.
What are you going to get me? It's friggin' 6 in the morning here. What are you going to get me mad for? For nothing. For nothing.
Well, for $5,000.
I'm trying to team us up to do giant things, and you're, for the $5,000. How's that makes you sound bad?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make me sound bad, Dice. It doesn't make me want to work with you again if I got to wait fucking 2 months for my money.
Oh my God!
What do you want me to tell you? If you want to do what you're doing, then do what you're doing. We teamed up to do big things together, right?
Did you two have a talk?
What?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I don't know if Artie wants me to bring that up.
Right. Did you have any kind of conversation?
Artie doesn't want to tell. Dice wants to team up with Artie. And Artie thinks the reason that Dice really wants to team up is he really wants me involved. And that Dice's way to get involved with me is through Artie.
No, that's not...
But Artie's afraid to say that.
That's without question what's going on. Come on.
Oh, really?
No, wait a minute. Really? No, Howard, please. I come on your show, I announce a show, when you say, you got something to plug.
You bet. Anytime you want.
Sells out, right?
That's right. Anytime you want.
But who says why it's happening?
I don't say anything.
No, I say why it's happening.
Yeah,
Isn't that what happened?
But I don't know. Artie feels he can go do these shows himself.
Here's my thing, Dice.
Let me hear what Artie has to say.
The room we played at the Borgata last week.
Okay.
I'm doing a show, 2 shows there, August 25th and 26th by myself.
Okay.
And they're both going to sell. They'll both sell out in about 4 or 5 days, and I'll make probably 11 times what I made with you there.
Okay.
Now, why would I want to do work with you when I don't need it? Why would you want to work with me? You don't you never saw me do stand-up. It's not about the fact that you like the fact that I'm a comedian. I'm on the greatest show ever that can put people in seats. And, you want to get those plugs. So it's almost like you're patronizing me, like, oh, you're a great comic, I want to work with you. No, you want to get plugs on a Howard Stern show, which I totally get.
So you don't think working with me? Okay, so you're the greatest comic ever.
No, Dice. The reason I worked with you was because you're an icon. You're one of my heroes. The reason I did this is because, look, it's not, and this is why I told Howard. Howard thinks I should ask for more money. I'm like, no, it's not about the money. It's about the fact that I'm getting to work with a guy who is a true icon. He's a legend. And it was something I could tell my kids one day. I opened up for Dice, but teaming up with you, why don't we just go make our own money ourselves? Why do we got to team up together?
You don't think it could benefit you and us as a team teaming up together and doing giant places? You don't think that's strong?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'd rather work by myself.
But if that's what you want to do, that's up to you. I heard when I started doing Howard, my attendance record went up immediately. He gave me an outlet. It's going great between us. He gave me my own show to do. My attendance at my shows have gone up, 80% since I went on Howard.
And no one knows that more than me, man. I know.
Let me talk a minute. Now I hear about Artie Lang and how terrific Artie is. So I think, you know what? Maybe it would be a good idea, because guys are doing this, to team up with Artie. Let's see what happens. So I approach you. I'm doing this Borgata gig, and I say, look, Artie, what do you want for the gig? Because I wouldn't want to insult you either. So I throw a number, and you go, you know what? That's fine, because the next night I'm at some club in Pittsburgh, and I'm making X amount, which I wouldn't say on the air. All right, great. So we do the gig. All that happened was a misunderstanding of when you got the pay, okay? I took care of it, but if you don't want to work with me, that's up to you. And if you think I can't do bigger places without you, well, you're mistaken. And if you can do 2 and 3 nights at the Borgata and in Vegas and bigger arenas without me, then go do them. I just think you're a good guy. I thought we got along terrific, and I wanted to move forward with it.
Dice, honestly, I would have opened up for you at the Borgata for nothing, just for the story. I really would have. That's how much I respect you. But honestly, the guys team up for those tours because they have trouble selling tickets on their own. I'm blessed with the fact that I'm on a show. And look, 2 years from now, if I'm not on the show anymore, I could be begging guys to give me work. That's how comedy is. But right now, I got to make as much money as I can, and I can do it on my own. And
that's up to you, though. See, Howard putting me on the air automatically brings my attendance up. I just thought it would be a great thing to team up with somebody finally.
But why?
The chops to go in front of a crowd and to move forward with me on things.
But Dice, as a businessman, if you could sell out those places on your own, why split the cut with me?
He's talking about bigger places. He's talking about Madison Square Garden.
We talked about it. This wasn't a one-way conversation. I said to you, we spoke about.
No, you definitely brought this up to me. Absolutely.
We spoke about something. On the in the
Artie's intimidated to tell you what he thinks sometimes.
What's that?
I guess Artie's intimidated to tell you what he thinks.
I listened to what he said
today.
No, listen.
No, he came clean with you today.
I listened to what he said about what the plans he wants to do, and I thought about it a little bit. But I mean, nothing is set in stone. Nobody agreed to anything. No contracts were signed, and
no contract because we got to sit down and you don't just plan giant shows. I'm talking about the shows.
Let's see. Hey, Dice, let's see what the audience has to say. Ralph, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Hey, now.
Hey,
Artie, I love you. You know that. But I think you're being a bit of a dick on a few levels here. First of all,
this is another guy who's owed me $100 for 2 years, by the way, Ralph.
You don't hound him.
Believe me, the next call, they'll be ripping me apart.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Dice is saying, first of all, with the team up, it'd be fun. It'd not necessarily about money, it'd be fun. I was excited. I wanted to go see you guys. Artie, have I ever come to see your show before? No. I was excited.
Wow, wait, Ralph, if I team up with Dice, you'll come? Whoa, wait, Dice, where are we next, man? I can get Ralph Sorella to come to the show?
Just listen for a minute. You know,
fuck off, Ralph.
Here's a guy there. Yeah. But since you didn't, all I did was take care of business when I got home. That's all it comes
Dice, Dice, wouldn't you think to mention to me, look, I'm going on the road, Art. It might be 12 to 14 days before you get the money.
But I did tell you where I'm going. You know, I told you I'm going to Florida. I said I'm going to Vegas. And then I got home. I took care of it. I don't know what you're getting so crazy about.
I still don't have the money.
No, I think this is more because somebody told me that you were yelling yesterday about I'm not an opening act. Okay?
I never said that.
No, but listen to me. And that pissed me off. I go, number one, I didn't look at him like an opening act. We had an opening act. I treated him really special. I thought he was terrific. And on top of it, you know, when you talk about how $5,000 don't mean anything, tell him how much time you even had to do for the $5,000. It wasn't like you had to go out there and destroy that crowd for an hour.
Dice.
Listen to me.
You're really fucking pissing me off, Dice. You really are. No, let me tell you something. I took a pay cut. $5,000. I sold that place out for you, motherfucker. And I did 20 minutes, and you said I'll give you $5,000. So, okay, fine. That's beautiful. How long am I going to wait for it?
I don't know why you're yelling and why you're in the studio.
Because you're saying stupid shit.
You know what? No, I'm not saying stupid shit. We were trying something out. I didn't do anything wrong. I came home. The check has been cut. I think.
What are you trying out? Not to pay me? Is that the experiment we're working with?
Maybe you don't fucking hear me, okay?
Oh, I hear you, dude.
I can hear that the check has been sent, okay? So it's 10 days later.
The check has been sent.
Well, let me ask you this, Artie. Is it
with you.
have you ever done like a Have you ever done a commercial or something, and then they send the check to you like a month
couple
later?
weeks
You know what I
later or
mean?
something.
That's possible.
I really don't know what this is about. I think for some reason you think you sold that room out, and you want to know something? You didn't have a fucking thing to do with that. So don't sit here.
Should we get a guy on from the Borgata? Should we get the promoter on?
Do you think I don't have to do 2 nights at the Borgata? Is that what you're talking? I've been doing the Borgata for 4 years, Ralph. Fucking on.
You mad at Ralph now? I am too.
What are you going to get me mad about? And do you think if we did a bigger place, there wouldn't be more money involved for you?
I didn't sell anything out. You're right. Plugs on this show sold it out, dude. And I'm a comedian who works on this show. Just admit you need those plugs right now.
I'm not going to give credit.
It ain't 1988 anymore.
I'm not going to give credit where credit's not due. Okay?
Wait a second. This is out of hand.
What happened here?
What happened is I did a show and Dice didn't pay me. That's what happened.
This is what I mean about everybody. You know, on the phone, they got a big fucking mouth, and it's hard to even get through what I want to say on the phone. But if I would stand there, believe me, you wouldn't open your fucking mouth.
Oh, yeah, I would, Dice. Believe me, I would.
Hey, you would.
Believe me, I would.
You're going to get that fucking...
Hey, tonight.
You'll be in L.A. today? Come on.
I'll be in L.A. tonight.
Bring it on. Bring it on if you got...
Come to the set of Entourage tomorrow if they let you on. I'll try to get you a pass.
You know what? What are you talking about? Your plugs. You know what? You're doing fucking clubs, hee-hees and ha's. Don't tell me about nights at the fucking Borgata. I was trying to be cool with you. Yes, I didn't really know your ability before I came on Stern Show, and I got to know you that way. So I said, let's team up. I really don't know where this is coming from.
Dice, it's just coming from the fact that it took 11 days to get me my money.
I'm saying, hey, if I knew...
That's where it's coming from, nothing else. I don't put myself on a level of a comic as you. I really don't.
All right, chill out a minute, all right? If you would have told me this, I would have had a check for you. Because I didn't have a check for you, I got to wait till I come home, and I pay everybody that's been with me. That's how I work the business. You didn't know that, and I didn't know you wanted it that night, okay?
Not even that night. It was a Friday. We worked Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
On the road for I don't know, 2.5 weeks, whatever it is. I came home, and I paid you. It's that simple. So I'm apologizing for the misunderstanding, if that's what it is. But other than that, I don't know what the yelling's about.
In other words, Dice is saying...
I sat there, and you know what, Howard? When I do come on your show, and I'm going to admit this, that it's stupid not to, and I plug something, it sells a lot of tickets.
Yeah, and believe me, that's not the issue. In fact, Artie, I think what Dice is saying, and I don't know that it's right or wrong.
Do you understand this? Why is Artie so upset? I really
I know why Artie's upset. But I can clear it all up. You want me to clear it all up?
No, but I want to tell you another thing.
Well, because first of all, he said in the middle of this conversation, he said he called me this week. That did not happen.
All right?
You feel he's lying when he said he called you?
Either that or something wrong with my answering machine. I didn't get the message.
Well, you know what? I did call you. And if you didn't get it, I don't know why you didn't get it. And I'm not going to have an argument over if it's a lie that I called your machine, because I know I called you and left a message.
Well, I have no way to prove anything.
You want me to check the phone records?
So I'm not looking to fight over that. I can't fight. I can't have answering machine fights when people go, oh, I called you. Yeah, but I didn't get it.
Well, I can't prove that you did either, or didn't either, so it doesn't matter.
You really think Dice wasn't going to pay you? Is that what you're thinking?
I'll clear it up.
Robin, how long do you think I should wait for the money?
The money's sent.
A year.
Let it go. Yeah. But let me tell you something, Howard.
What am I mad about, Robin? Jesus Christ.
I'll clear this up.
How long do you wait for money, Robin?
I don't understand this.
Dice, allow me to clear this up.
All right, but let me just say this, and then you'll clear it up. Okay. After I saw Artie work, okay. And I'm man enough to admit Artie was backstage. The minute they heard his name, they started chanting Artie, Artie, Artie.
Right, that's good.
The crowd, was there for him also.
Right.
So I'm not making believe that they're not into Artie, that Artie can't sell any tickets. I got very excited. I'm going, this is fucking great. This guy really has a following.
Yes.
Did he sell that show out? No. But did the show come from the serious audience? Yes. So, of course, they know Artie Lang, and they were just as excited to see him as me. So after I see this guy perform, I'm going, this is phenomenal. Let's move forward. Let's do bigger things, okay?
All right, so let me clear this up. Let me clear this up. I think I can help here. Everybody's steamed up.
I've never seen a fight more about nothing. It seems
no, it is about something. You're wrong. It's that it's
Howard,
about nothing.
am I crazy?
Let me say my piece.
I think you are a little nuts.
You're right, I'm a little nuts. And first of all, it's got nothing to do with the crowd chant my name, nothing to do with that. I was real excited to work with you.
Compliment. I'm not going to.
No, I know. Dice, listen to me, dude. Listen.
Well, why can't you take a compliment? I didn't say nothing wrong when I say they're chanting your name.
And I'm giving you a compliment by saying it really was thrilling to work with you, but I expect to get paid in a timely fashion.
All right, but that was a misunderstanding.
All right, let me tell you what happened.
All right, what happened?
I'll tell you what happened. I got it all down here. I've listened and I know what's going wrong.
I'm glad you paid attention.
All right. And I think if these guys do work together in the future and bigger things happen, Artie can expect not to get paid in the future, and that's okay. Listen, now here it is.
But he'll be getting not paid a lot more money.
But yeah, a lot more money. Now listen, let me tell you what happened here. When Artie goes and does shows, he is very used to getting paid that night. In other words, the house received their money. It's not like some other business.
He's used to the cash at the door kind of thing?
The cash is already there. Everyone gets paid. Even Dice says he got paid half up front and probably got paid that night the other half.
Yeah, and the first half I still haven't received yet.
All right.
Because that goes to the agent.
Right.
You know how this shit works.
So Artie, when he does his show, the way he operates is if he has a Bob Levy worker with him, he says, Bob, here, I got 20 grand for the night. Here's your
cutting
$5.
You a check
here's
or
your $5. Here's this. And I mean 500, not 5,000.
Right.
So here's your 500. And he hands out the money. Now, in a bigger situation like this, Artie expects the same thing. In other words, okay, if you're not going to pay me that night, let me know. Artie's embarrassed. He's not going to walk up to someone that night and go, "Where's my money?" It's not dignified.
But to be this upset, I mean, why is he so upset?
Because he worked, he earned the money. The money's in the bank. He wants the money right away. Now, Dice is not lying. Dice, when he runs his business, he kind of gets these guys, the opening acts and things, and he says, okay, I'll send you a check. Now, probably if Artie hadn't brought this up on the air, it might have even waited 3 or 4 weeks. And Artie wants to be paid then that night.
All right, let me ask you.
But what I don't understand is why his agent didn't tell him I called him yesterday and I got the address and the check went out.
But Artie feels that happened as a result of the conversation on the air.
Of course
it happened because I'll tell you what happened, because I came home Sunday night from Vegas. Yesterday was Monday. I got on the phone. I made all my calls to take care of business. And it wasn't until after that I got this news of what went on your show yesterday morning.
Right. So Artie
but let
feels...
me ask you, do you think the level of Artie's upset is commensurate with what happened? He seems awfully angry to me.
Howard, do you think Artie is upset? Do you think Artie is upset because...
I'm going to tell you why Artie's upset.
How did this conversation start? It started with me being very calm, and then Dice started saying stuff like, he called me in the middle of the week. That didn't happen. I have no proof of that, but it didn't happen. Then he's like saying, I didn't know you needed the money, which is insulting. It's my money.
Where Artie got upset.
Okay, Robin, let's go to the tape.
Where Artie got
now
upset.
I'm pissed at Robin.
Where Artie got upset, and I think this is right. Like people say, hey, you don't need the money. What do you with the... It's not it's like people have said that to me in my life. What do you like? I've gone and done specials.
But he's not trying to not pay
and done work. No, I know
I'm
that.
not trying to get away with the $5,000, Artie.
I don't think you are, Dice. That's not my accusation.
But wait a minute. The reason I even called...
Admit you didn't call me in the middle of the week, dude. Just admit it.
You know what? If I didn't call you, I wouldn't be afraid to tell you I didn't call you. The reason I did call you is because I was staying in Vegas longer than normal, so I was just going to call my accountant and say, send a check. But I didn't have an address to send the fucking check to.
I gave you my agent's phone number.
But I didn't have that number with me, okay?
Well, I gave it to you at the Borgata. What'd you do with it?
I didn't know what I did with it. That's why I wanted to take care of it, but that's why
These things don't happen,
Artie? All I needed was a call. Now, you're saying you didn't get the message? What, am I going to not believe you?
I didn't get the middle of the week message. Yesterday, I got it.
All I know is this, okay? It's much better to a line. I don't even know why we're fucking fighting over
I
this.
don't know. Let's go. Well, I know
See,
why.
that's why
Artie
I
feels
need to know.
insulted because people are saying to him,
but I'm
"What's
not
the
looking
big
to
deal?
insult
It's
him. Number one,
$5,000. It is a big deal."
Dice, I was not upset at the beginning of this conversation, nor was I upset yesterday. I just mentioned, you know what, I haven't gotten the money yet. And Howard was like, wow, Howard, I mean, go to the tape yesterday. Howard was, you were a little surprised that I didn't get the money, correct?
I didn't know anything about it. I was surprised.
Yeah, you were surprised I didn't get paid
You
yet.
were a little upset yesterday, Artie.
Yeah, but not like this. Not after
The one thing I don't need
this
to do
bullshit.
is hold back $5,000, okay? And why would I want to hold back $5,000 from a guy sat in my dressing room and say, all right, why don't we make the move to this place now? And do you know why, Howard? I'm going to tell you that the Borgata, all right, and this is no bullshit. They got over 11,000 phone calls, and that room was already sold out after I did your show last time. And I was like, fuck this. Why do another show at the Borgata when if everything works out with me and Artie, we could go into a giant place?
All right, let's hear what the audience has to say about this. Dave, you're on the air. Yes, Dave. Dave, do you want to comment or not?
Maybe he changed his mind.
Maybe he did. Maybe he's afraid to get in this conversation. It is heated, and there's a lot of aggravation in the room. Marion.
Howard,
your friend.
Artie, you could call me a cunt all you want, but you know what, Artie? It's a damn shame. How could you? First of all, it's all about Howard, both of you, Mr. Dice and Mr. Artie Lang. It's all about Howard.
No, it's not.
The next thing, if any of you weren't there, you
It's
would
not about me. Artie and Dice are very talented guys.
Yes, but you know
While
what
the show
happens?
might help them, they're
Still
talented.
helping them get the gigs. But how could Artie beg for $5,000? You talk about just the
He's
drunk,
not begging.
Artie?
He's not begging. It's his
I know
money.
it's your money, but don't you think you could have given a little time to get it? It's like, it's a disgrace. It's like embarrassing. I don't think it's a necessary fight. I think you're a very unhappy person. I can't understand it, Artie. I wish me and you could go drink coffee together so I could figure this whole thing out.
That would cheer me up.
Let's go to Jim. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, Artie, you way funnier than this motherfucking Andrew dumbass Clay, so you have every right
No
to
need
be
for
fucking
names.
mad.
Yeah, that's
Well,
not what this is
No
about.
need for names.
He showed his true
We
colors.
love
when
both
he
these
didn't
guys.
pay- He didn't pay the man. I mean, Artie has every right to be mad. So, Artie, you don't need this dude. You can go way further. Andrew was...
All right, go back to acting school and
That's right.
accent a little more.
All right, let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, go ahead.
Howard,
Yes.
hey now.
Hey, now.
Listen, you know, the funny thing is I really used to like Andrew Dice Clay. And years ago, like, I'd watch all his stuff. I'd even watch his crappy movies.
Why does this have to be an attack on
Yeah,
Dice?
this
Why
is
can't
a
we talk
business
about...
thing.
Why can't it...
Let the guy talk.
All right, go ahead.
You know what? When people have done nothing with their lives,
We let Ralph talk.
Right. All right, Artie's right.
What is going on with you? I think we've slipped into Artie
let's get Zero on the
Psycho
phone.
Land.
So his friend in another car could go, I heard you too.
Dice, listen. what I'm
There's
saying
nothing
is-
to listen about.
I'm
You're a
saying
zero.
I
You know nothing about what you're
Dice,
talking about.
I used to be. I was a big
You're
fan
a
of
nobody
yours.
that never did anything and never will. So you can't even believe how it has you on the air now. This is your, I don't know, 60 seconds of fucking fame. You zero in the game of life.
That's exactly what
That's who you are. That's what I think.
Well, let the guy...
you do.
Let's hear what the guy has to say.
No, but when a guy starts a conversation, he's not interested in what went on with me and Artie. He's interested in going, oh, I even watched his crappy movies. Right there, you
Yeah,
go.
that was not fair.
Okay.
That was
This
not
guy really
fair.
doesn't
I
have
thought it was kind of fine.
Have you watched Artie's crappy movies?
Have you watched Artie's crappy movies, sir?
Yeah, I watched all these crappy movies, too.
Oh, okay.
I have 5 crappy movies. Dice only has 1.
But the bottom line is that the only
And I know who the guy is. By the way, how's your wife, that fucking pig?
the one
Just talking, you know, because I haven't talked to you for a long time either. How is
All right,
that
let's go to
fucking
someone
pig?
who's going to... Let's go to someone else. Nicole, you're on the air. Go ahead, Nicole.
Morning, everybody. How are you?
Hi.
Hello?
Yes, Nicole.
We're
Say...
here.
Hey, I'm sorry. I just want to let you know I'm listening at work. You guys are the best reality show ever, and I think Dice is a little overreacting. I think he really wants to do this thing with Artie.
Right.
And you can't blame Artie for not wanting to. He can do it on his own and stuff. And as much as he's an icon.
Well, you know what? He's entitled to, but I just thought we had an understanding that we wanted to do more shows.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking that you guys had a conversation,
Right.
and Artie's agreed to something that Artie wasn't really into agreeing to.
I haven't agreed to anything, Robin. I agreed to getting $5,000 for the show.
Robin, I said we were talking about doing bigger things.
Right.
I said, Artie, are you in? And he goes, yeah, I'm in.
All right,
That's all it was about. But you know what? Let's be stupid about things. Let's not align and do gigantic shows all over the country. Let's just stay separate if that's what you want.
Well, this is getting very sad. Steve, go ahead. I'll give two more people say in this. Steve, go ahead.
Artie, you stupid guinea bastard. Let me tell you something right now. You're not pissed off over the fact that you didn't get paid. You're pissed off for the fact that you didn't get more money when after the show you said, you know what, I should have got more money for that fucking gig.
I don't feel that way.
No, that's not
exactly
true.
how you feel, Artie. That's bullshit.
No, that's not true at all. No.
bullshit.
I just want the money that was offered to me.
If he's going to be underpaid, he wants to be underpaid right away.
Let me tell you something. Do you think that Andrew Dice Clay is not going to pay you? Are you kidding me or what?
No, sir. I know he's going to pay me, sir. I
Artie
know.
feels he shouldn't have
You know
to.
what? And I do, I have sent the check now. That's why I don't understand why we're fighting. Like I keep saying, I'll apologize one more time. If I would have known that I'm not going to do it in an antagonistic way. If you wanted that money that night, because we discussed the money, and you said something to me, I just would have had a check cut to bring with me. But I didn't have checks to bring with me. I get paid at
Is that fair, Artie? Is that a fair statement from Dice?
I wasn't looking to snub the guy.
Well, Artie, why is that not
No,
fair?
I mean, I expected to get paid. Honestly, I expected to get paid that night, but
I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I mean,
Well, maybe he has a different business procedure that you're just becoming aware of.
I started this trip. I did the Mandalay Bay in Vegas, came back to New York for Borgata, then went to Florida for shows, and then went back to Mandalay Bay. I took care of this on Monday, which was yesterday, and it had nothing at all to do with what you were yelling about on the air. I mean, it's just how
I wasn't yelling about anything. I mentioned it that I didn't get paid yet, and Howard found it surprising that I didn't get paid yet.
Yeah, but you know what? Howard didn't do the gig. This was our thing. And you could have called me and left me a message going, even after a week.
No, you said to me you were surprised you didn't
Right,
get paid.
we wouldn't have known you hadn't gotten paid unless you brought it
No,
up.
I said I haven't gotten paid yet.
Right.
And you were like,
upset
did
about
Dice
it.
get paid? I'm like, I think so.
What
Just
I'm saying,
asking?
Artie, if it bothered you at all, you could have just left me a message going, Dice, I haven't received my check yet.
My agent called your agent a
All
million
right, my
times.
father
dude.
is on the phone
Yes,
now.
could somebody bring some
My
clarity
father,
to this?
if my father gets on the phone, you know he must be worked up.
I don't know what's happening.
Dad, what's happening here?
Oh, look, first of all, I'm exhausted. I've been listening to this friends, with this hot weather. No, I just want to give my 2 cents. I see two people who have different modes of operation.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So that's the whole argument. So one man has one operation and the other guy has another operation. Nobody decided beforehand how the operations would gel. So now you find there was a mistake because one guy didn't know how the other guy felt. So all you have to do, each one of you say, look, in the future this won't happen. It was a mistake. I'm sorry it happened. I was in business with 3 other guys, 4 partners. And if we didn't use this philosophy, we would never stay.
You'd have been like this every day.
Now, Dad, when you were in the recording business, I remember people would record,
Yes.
and then some months later they would pay you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a different kind of business. That's not a direct thing. I wouldn't even, you
Not
have an
comparable.
account.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's worth destroying the friendship we're building and what went on in that crowd. I mean, that crowd was one of the most intense crowds I've been in front of years, and I do feel it had a lot to do with me and Artie together.
All right, so this was
instead of fighting.
Dad, you're saying this is a difference of business practice.
Listen, just to give you an example, I mean, how to handle things. Well, there's Barry Bonds and Giambi. Giambi went to the court. He told the truth. The other guy's boozing around the bush. Now, what do you have here? Giambi now is a big hero in Yankee Stadium. He's doing great. and nobody's looking to get him. They're not investigating him. So the whole idea is you got to come forth and say it was a mistake, and and in the future it's not going to operate that way. This is the way it operates. As long as the two of you were successful together, the other thing is chicken shit.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt. That's why I keep going. Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
I guess Artie is feeling sensitive because he's the guy still without the $5,000, and I understand that.
Ben, do you think Artie is overreacting?
No.
No?
I don't.
I disagree.
I don't.
You know why
disagree.
I don't think Artie's? Let me tell you what my
all right.
feeling. Artie's not overreacting. He wasn't told that this is
That's
the
right.
operation that he has.
Artie has a different way.
But Mr. Stern, that was not agreed to beforehand. If it was one thing where Dice said, certainly, Artie, you're going to get your money there that night, and then he stiffed him, that's another situation.
Right.
But nobody talked about it.
Okay,
So Dice wasn't necessarily in the wrong, and neither was Artie.
Okay, so
I agree with you on the point that they didn't talk about it. That's the only thing I agree about.
Well, I think what your dad's saying now is, let's put that behind us. Now when we do another gig, all right, if you whatever the money is, you get that up front. If that's how you want to get paid, and we just continue. The point is that it was so phenomenal. That gig was so phenomenal. It would be stupid for us not to keep going.
All right. Dad, thank you. One last thing. Go ahead. Yes.
What?
I believe in the bottom line on any situation. I always trust the bottom line. The bottom line is the future. You two guys, if you both agree, you're great together, you're going to be successful together, that's important.
Artie doesn't want to be together.
Artie doesn't like
this.
That's a whole other thing.
Listen.
Artie, go ahead.
Here's the point. If you we know a lot of comedians. Get them on the phone. See how the comedy business works. I want to know.
Let me do that for you.
I want to know. I want to know how long they've waited for checks after.
Dad, thank you.
I have never seen this much craziness over the check.
Artie, you're right. I mean, this is ludicrous. It shouldn't be that.
That's why I said it's an overreaction. There's something else here.
Yeah. No. You see, if he's operating in a ludicrous way, that's not satisfying to you, he's wrong. And you also don't accept his way of operating, so you're wrong. So in other words, it's past that point.
Right.
Listen, I'm admitting I'm not going to make anything up. Nothing was discussed. I never said to Dice, "Look, I expect this money tonight." He never promised that to me. But we're in the same business, and I'm saying there's sort of. I've been doing comedy a long time. You get paid usually, if not that night, within a couple of days. So it's been 10 days, and this conversation started with me going, Dice, when am I going to get the check? And then as it rolled on, Dice claimed he made a phone call, which I didn't get.
Wait a minute. Wait, say that again. I missed that.
All right. Wait, let me hang up on my phone. Dad, thank you.
Okay, I'm getting off.
All right, thank you. I hear what Artie's saying. He's saying it's common practice in the comedy business to be paid that night or within 2 or 3 days.
But maybe Dice has a different operation.
No, it's not even a different operation. If I have, you know what? If I have like just a regular opening act, okay, which I don't consider Artie, and I didn't consider him. Once again, I'm saying this as an opening act. He wasn't considered that way. We had a guy. We had the boy Jameson open. If I got a guy like that, Jameson doesn't get close to what I paid Artie. So I just take care of him.
Bob Levy's on the phone. Bob, you're a comic.
I'll do it for $50.
Tell us what's going on.
First of all, Ralph is an idiot. Okay, second of all,
Thank
you
you.
get paid that night. Whenever me and Artie did gigs, we would tell the promoters to have the check there that night. There's no thinking about anything else. We're not going to get sent a check. We're working that night. We're going to get paid that
Bob, what's the longest? You've been doing stand-up for years. What's the longest you ever waited for a check?
I would have him overnighted if I didn't have it there that day.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not a promoter. I'm a comic. So I got the check from the hotel. I keep the check.
But Dice, if you got half the money from the hotel, why not give me half my money that night?
How am I going to give it? Should I rip the check in half?
Just write a check out.
Have a check ready. Or tell the promoter, make out half to Artie.
No, but listen to me. If I would have known you wanted it that night, if it was discussed at all, it just would have been handled.
All right, listen. We can't go on with this all day. I'm sorry you guys have this going on. Artie, I understand from Dice what he's saying. Your check is in the mail.
Right.
That's it. It was handled. It's handled the day I came home.
Dice, it would be great if the check would bounce.
But Artie
That
feels
would be
insulted
phenomenal.
some way.
No, I don't feel insulted. I feel
Artie
he's not admitting to lying that he called me in the middle of the week.
Listen, everything went so good, and you're turning something that went so good into something bad, and it shouldn't be.
No. I'm not turning this into anything bad, Dice. All I asked at the beginning was, I haven't gotten paid yet. When am I getting the check? And then a conversation started, and a couple of things happened in that conversation that got
Dice's
me
answer
aggravated.
is your check is coming within a day or two.
But I'm calmed down again.
All right.
Me too.
All right, here's the answer.
But the big eye opener is, for the last 4 years, I've sat down with my agent. I did 5,000 people in Philly once, and I said, listen, how do we get Ralph Sorella to a gig?
Oh.
How do we get Ralph to come?
Ralph, you seem to have really ticked Artie off more than anything.
I think I figured it out now.
What?
Here's the problem. The reason, and I think everybody agrees, Artie is overreacting. Robin's saying it, Fred's saying it, but you're going to attack me. That's okay, Artie.
I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you.
I think Artie needs distractions in his life to make himself miserable, whether he's fucking up his relationship with Dana, whether he's eating himself to death, whether he's getting mad that he didn't get $5,000. He needs something to be upset and distracted
He was.
Ralph, how much longer should I wait for the $100 you owe me?
You're going to be waiting forever.
I know, of course I will. And we just have to accept the fact that...
What is with that, Ralph? Why do you owe him $100 and you're not paying him?
Artie put in a bet for me. I lost the bet.
You owe him $100.
I lost the bet with Will, too. And I said, Will, just pay him the money because I wasn't...
Will, please come in here. Please come in here.
Why should Will have to be responsible for your debt?
I'm going to go ask Will, who hardly makes any money.
Artie, I'll be in Thursday. I'll pay you Thursday, okay?
That ain't happening.
All right, so that's...
2 years.
Well, you know, you want to
this whole thing is crazy to me. I got to be honest. Just listening to this whole thing.
Well,
I don't understand why you couldn't just call me and go, I didn't get my check yet.
I did call you. My agent called your agent. I knew you were on the road, and I was on the road, so I figured the agents would deal with it.
The answer to your question, let's get back to it. The answer to Artie's question as to when he is going to be paid is, I would estimate that if Dice sent the check yesterday, I don't know if he FedExed
How was it sent?
How was it sent, Dice?
Who cut it?
I called my accountant and I said, cut a check to this guy and first I got the agent's number. I called the accountant. I said, this is his agent's number. What is it? Am I right with his first name?
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right. So you at least know I know that. I said, this is his name. Call him up now and send him the check.
All right, so the check...
So you found the number that you lost.
The road manager. I also
Dice, you told me you lost the agent's number.
What's that?
You told me you lost my agent's number. Where'd you get it from
I did
again?
lose the agent's number, and I went through a million papers that I got on the road. It was written on a little piece of paper. I found it, and I called my accountant. What is this, a fucking murder trial?
No, you're lying, Dice, and you're backpedaling.
Oh, my God.
I have no reason to lie. What is wrong with you?
Well, why would you say you said you lost my agent's number?
Yes, I lost the little piece of paper you wrote.
And then
it
you
on,
found it again.
As you know, when you're on
Would
the
you
road,
pray to St. Anthony?
You collect all kinds of papers, okay? So I went through all of them.
I'm wearing my
found
medal.
it.
Maybe he used this.
You know what? But yesterday was also the first time I'm even hearing about this.
Ross Zapin wants to come in and defend you, Dice.
Good.
Bring him in then.
All right, let's hear what he has to say. This is
the craziest.
This is what happens sometimes.
For $100.
I'm here to defend both of you guys. I think the biggest mistake here was you guys are talent. You've done shows before. Your representative should have called his representative and kept the two of you out of
But
it.
Ross, they did. My agent called his. I'll get my agent.
But you want to know something?
now.
You also let me tell you this, Artie, and it's something I won't discuss on the air. There are some problems right now with my particular agent, so I haven't even talked to him. Okay? He actually did call me yesterday, and I didn't call him back yet because of something else going on. Okay, which has nothing to do with you.
All right. Well, we won't get into that. Fine.
Ross,
I got to say this. I believe your agent called him. I just haven't talked to my guy yet. Okay?
Ross
But in the meantime, without any of that, I still called my accountant, and I took care of all my bills and all the guys I had to pay.
Ross Zapin, I want to thank you for nothing. You clarified nothing.
No. But I made the point. But let me go back. But
I gotta say this. I gotta say this about Ross. See, I talked to Ross, and I told Ross how incredible that show went, and he was happy to hear it because he was even smart enough to go, you know what? You two teaming up is an incredible.
He was even smart enough.
But wait a second. I just want to roll back.
I've never heard that before.
Wait,
Nobody's ever called Ross.
And Ross, who are you again?
I'm nobody.
Ross, who are you again? Just so people know. Well, what is your title here?
Vice President Promotions, Event Marketing.
All right, so this is a guy who knows something about it.
But I have to, my previous history was I booked Dice when I worked for a concert promoter, and I've been in the business. Now I know you're closer to it, Artie.
Howard, I'm going to say this just to let people know who Ross is. When I first came into New York, before I ever even did your show, okay, before I even went on your show ever for the first time, I'm talking years ago, Ross was the first guy to bring me into New York and put me in contact.
All right, absolutely.
He was working with Ron Delson.
All right, this is a man who knows.
All right, listen. Here, let me sum this up. Wait, I got to get out of this for a second. So let me sum it up. I think I can help.
I don't think you can.
No, I think I can.
Can't be done.
Let me help.
Feels like he's responsible for the show. And
Artie has a way of doing business. It's like my father said. Artie has a way of doing business. He's been in the nightclub business for his whole life, ever since he stopped being a longshoreman.
But this was a minor mistake. He is acting as if Dice killed his
It's not.
first guy.
He understands it was a different way of doing business, but he feels what's compounded it is a series of statements that is infuriating him.
Ugh.
I think he had an extra grind.
Am I right, Artie?
Before this even happened.
No. Honestly, Fred, I didn't. I was very calm
Artie
at the beginning.
thought that he should be paid.
You want to know something? Here's three things. Number one, I think Artie thinks he was underpaid. I think
No,
it's part
I
of the
don't think
contest.
that's it.
Let me
He's
finish.
not
Let me
saying
finish.
that.
That's number one. Number two, I think he thinks he sold it out. Dice has a different opinion.
I don't think
Number
that's
three,
it.
the third compounding factor is he didn't get paid. So if he
That's all it
thinks
is.
he's underpaid and he thinks he sold it out and he didn't get paid, he's coming in with an extra grind.
Right.
And I have one question for Artie. When Dice asked you that day to do the gig, were you actually happy that he asked you, or did you feel like you were put on the spot and you didn't know how to say no?
No, I was happy to work with him.
But
absolutely.
Did you have any misgivings about doing it, especially since you had another gig coming up and it was kind of bad timing?
The scheduling was a problem, but no, I would love the opportunity to work with him. No, definitely, I was happy to work with him.
But it was also a great opportunity to see how that show came off, right?
Yeah,
right
it was
and the
great.
show came off phenomenal.
I don't think
you're on the air. Wait a minute.
I think Fred is wrong. The problem is Artie expected to be paid that night.
But shouldn't that have been communicated up front?
Yes, it was a miscommunication.
Yeah, you're right. I did not
Artie
communicate
thinks
that.
that's
no.
something that should be known. It's not something you need to teach
Not
another
even that.
comic.
But should Artie have to communicate that to Dice? Should Artie's agent have said up front, "Hey, this is what the deal is"?
Artie thought that that's something that comics know. That's what he thought.
That's ridiculous.
But Dice has been doing
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous to think somebody knows
It's a
something.
misunderstanding between two guys.
And then to carry on like this.
No, it's compounding because things are being said.
What's be?
Let me ask you a question.
What really got
Artie's
me mad
being
was
a little
Dice said he
insulted.
called me in the middle of the week, and he did.
But he says he did. Is he going to lie about
I'll
it?
tell you what's stupid. I'll tell you what's stupid. See, we're having an argument today, Artie, and when I left that gig, all I'm thinking of is where do we go next? What's the bigger venue we play, okay? Now, of course, we could both do our own gigs separately, but you there?
Yeah. Where would I go?
He's left.
No, because I'm on the phone, okay? But this is what happens, and I don't know who put anything in your ear. This is what I spoke to Howard when I first came in about our fight, that other people get in between shit and say shit, and by the time we even hooked up today, we're both fucking yelling. That's what happens, and it's bullshit. So if I'm telling you I called you, and if you didn't get the message, I'm sorry you didn't get the message. But the bottom line is, I'm at least man enough, I say, you know what? If I knew you wanted it that night, it would have been handled. I didn't know it. I took care of it like I always do at the end of a trip. I take care of all my business. I always have with anybody that's ever worked for me. I've never had any problems. What's going to be fucked up is if we don't do more shows, because then other people out there go, Look at this. They did one fucking show, and it falls the fuck apart.
All right, look, we got to move on. Guys,
But when you're sitting there on the phone also and going, yeah, you want me to do the shows because I'll plug them. Of course I want you to plug them. Who the fuck should I hire? Some guy that just got on a Catch a Rising Star and did 3 minutes? You want 2 guys that could go out there because I'm not looking to do Borgata. I'm looking to do the biggest fucking stadiums in the country. And I turned around to you after that show and I said, I want you to do it with me. That's what's fucked up if you don't. Not the 5,000. The 5,000 is fucking chicken feed compared.
You didn't write Ohio.
No,
Neil Young
Neil
did.
did.
But you love that song.
Well, I get a call from Crosby. I'm in Los Angeles. Neil and David are up in a place that I had in Pescadero in Northern California. It was a friend's house. Crosby called me. He goes, book the studio right now. Get the band together. Get Halverson, who's our engineer, Bill Halverson. I'm coming down tomorrow. I said, boy, you sound intense. What the hell's going on?
What's going on?
He said, wait until you hear this song. I said, what is it? He said, it's called Ohio, and Neil wrote it. I said, what happened? He said, I showed Neil a newspaper with you remember that famous John Philo picture of the girl leaning over the dead body?
You're talking about at Kent State.
At Kent State.
One of the students had been shot by a National Guardsman.
4 of them.
Yes.
We slaughtered our own children.
Yes.
Right, so here's the story. So he shows Neil this newspaper or this magazine, whatever it was. He said, I saw Neil walk off with his guitar into the woods, and he comes back an hour later with this song, right?
Wow.
We had Teach Your Children going, it was already in the top 20. It was going towards the top of the charts.
Right.
We put out Ohio immediately and killed our own single because we thought it was more important to talk about America killing its own children than having a hit record.
You're telling me that Neil Young goes off into the woods, an hour later comes out with a fully formed song.
Completely done, finished.
And Crosby thought the song was so important and so good. He said, come on, guys, let's get together, record this.
Immediately.
Even at
and
the...
put it out immediately.
And put it out immediately.
Ahmet Erdogan was in the studio. So we cut Ohio. It took us about an hour and a half.
The whole song was cut in an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. It's a very simple song.
No one does that anymore.
Well, you know.
Would you grace us with a little bit of Ohio?
Sure. Soldiers and Nixon coming, we're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming for dead in Ohio. Gotta get down to it, soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done long ago. What if you knew her and found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know, no, 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 no? Na 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 na. Gotta get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done long ago. What if you knew her and found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know, you know, you know? Soldiers and Nixon coming, we're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming for dead in Ohio, for dead in Ohio, for dead in Ohio, for dead in Ohio.
That is one powerful song.
He's here now. So you want to?
Graham Nash?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the notes with you. We'll get started. What was the when the Crosby, Stills and Nash got together? He was in the Hollies.
Yes.
But he was that'll okay. I'll start that from King Midas' story.
He was sort of disillusioned with what the direction they were taking.
Right, and then he hooked up with Crosby. And where did they find Stills?
No, Crosby and Stills were at Joni Mitchell's house, and
That's where they met.
She invited Graham to come over. I think the way I read it was she sort of knew these three guys should get together, but it seemed like an accident. And in the book he says they go over, Crosby and Stills have a new song, they play it once, Graham goes, play it again, and Graham goes, can you do it one more time? And this time he jumps in with them, and they create this sound.
Well, Graham Nash is here, which I'm excited about. One of my favorite artists of all time, Graham Nash. Of course, of the great band Crosby, Stills, and Nash, originally of the Hollies, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for about 20 different reasons. Look at you.
Twice.
You look good. Yeah, you really do. You take care of yourself, right?
No, you know, it's really easy to look like a peacock when you're standing next to two turkeys.
Well, yes, but, you know, it's funny. When I even see Neil Young now, he's put on a tremendous amount of weight.
Really?
I think so.
I saw Neil a week ago. He didn't look.
He looked heavy to me.
Well, you know, as we get older, I mean, look at you. You look great too. I mean, you know.
No, I'm trying to keep the weight down. You keep.
How
the
old
weight
are you
down.
now? 40.
40.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're so
40.
flattering.
And what are you like? 43, I read.
Yeah, just over. 43 and a half.
Does it kill you getting older? Honestly, do you? I mean, it literally does kill you. But
it's not for the faint-hearted, Howard, as you well know.
No.
You know, when you wake up with aches and pains, things drop off and things grow that you never even knew.
When you were writing your book, all right, because Graham has put out a new book, Graham Nash, and we're going to talk about it today, but when you were writing your book and you go back and you sort of look at your archives and you look at all the pictures of you guys when you were young, isn't it? It's like looking at a different person, right?
And it's terrifying. That's the one thing about celebrity that I'm not crazy about is seeing myself from a young kid to grow into this, gray-haired man here.
Because, I'm always shocked when I look at the old Crosby, Stills, and Nash pictures and I see, David Crosby was this shockingly good-looking guy. I mean, and he's gotten out of shape. Age has not been kind. But the voice is still there, right?
Crosby's singing his ass off, kid.
He's lucky he can. I mean,
that's right.
He's a survivor.
That's right. Well, I think the average lifespan for a liver transplant is like 15 years.
Right.
He's already
and
18
how many years is
18 and going.
Wow,
yeah.
That's remarkable. I'm thinking about the Crosby, Stills, and Nash and your new book because you write about the history, and I always love that. And I love talking music with musicians and how you wrote certain songs.
Right.
So I'm excited that you're here today, especially with your guitar. And, I was thinking all the way back to, the Hollies. When you were in there, and you started to write music, and you started to get experimental with your music. That's why you left the Hollies. They were being mean to you.
No, they weren't really being mean. They were just content. They were content to have every single go into the top 10.
When you wrote this song, the Hollies were like, that's too experimental.
King Midas in reverse.
King Midas in reverse. You wrote this, you brought it to the Hollies, and you said, let's do this. And they said, dude, we just want to write hits. What is this?
Yes.
Was that the last straw for you? Were you like, that's it, I'm done?
Yeah.
You knew
well, a couple of things happened. That, they didn't want to do that. I'd actually written Marrakesh Express, and somewhere in the bowels of EMI, Abbey Road, there's a track of the Hollies doing Marrakesh, and it sucks. Right?
Wow.
So those two things, they wanted to do an album of Bob Dylan songs in Las Vegas, kind of brass, kind of, it sucked.
So you're saying you brought them Marrakesh Express, and they
didn't think it was going to be a hit.
Oh, my God. One of the biggest hits for Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Correct.
And you just, did that stick in your craw? And one day when you finally were set up with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, you brought it to them and you said, look, guys, let's do this. And they were probably like, yeah, this is it. Let's do it.
That's why I'm so bonded to Crosby, because he saved my ass. Because when you refuse to record what we consider to be decent songs, it shakes you to your core as a musician, as an artist. You think, I must be wrong. If they're not doing it, I must be. But then Crosby said, come over here.
I can't imagine how many people's spirits were crushed by someone saying no. I feel like that about my early career in radio. So many people say no, and I'm amazed that I just kind of knew to keep going. And you leaving the Hollies is not a very secure kind of thing. That was a big deal.
It was a big deal, except for one thing, Howard.
Yeah.
I had heard me and David and Stephen sing.
Was that at Joni Mitchell's house?
It was indeed in her living room, yes.
All right, so you guys got together. You were in the Hollies. Crosby was in, what band was he in at that point?
I think he'd just been thrown out of the Byrds.
He was thrown out of the Byrds. You were all sort of outcasts of different bands.
That's right.
And Stephen
I wasn't so out.
Joni Mitchell understood that you guys would work well together, right?
Actually, Cass Elliot.
Was that who?
Before John, yes.
Cass Elliot said you should meet David Crosby.
Mama Cass.
Yes, Mama. Hey, Robin, how are you doing, kid?
Mama Cass, you say in your book, try to seduce you. You were not interested in having sex with her.
No.
But you became very good friends.
Incredible friends, yes.
Was she upset about that? The fact that, I mean, it had to be hard for her because she wasn't a stunningly beautiful woman.
Yeah, it must have been hard for Cass because, you know, she was a very loving woman.
Right.
And she knew that she was overweight. She knew, you know. I think she had a crush on Denny. You know, from the Mamas and Papas.
Right. She absolutely did.
And that didn't go anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
I made her cry within 5 minutes of meeting her because she asked me what would John Lennon think of the Mamas and Papas, and I said, well, knowing John a little, you know, he'd probably put you down at first until he felt comfortable and let you into his close circle, you know.
And she started crying?
Oh, yeah.
Because she felt,
she had a crush on John, but I didn't know it.
Oh, it must have been so hard for her because she's around all these exciting artists, these good-looking guys. You guys are good-looking guys, and she couldn't. She was probably sexually frustrated. And meanwhile, in the Mamas and the Papas, Michelle Phillips was like the sex bomb of all time.
That's why I went down to the studio.
Did you instantly fall in love with Joni Mitchell when you met her?
I'm afraid I have to say yes.
Yeah.
It was an astounding moment.
She's some artist, huh?
Brilliant. She's a genius.
Were you intimidated by her talent, or did it spur you on to write great music?
No, I was full of piss and vinegar. I thought I was, you know, decent, you know, songwriter until I started hanging out with David and Stephen and Neil and Joni, and then I began to really realize what songwriting should be about.
When you hang out with people like Joni Mitchell and Stephen Stills and David Crosby, do you become a better songwriter?
Absolutely.
They teach you things by just hanging out with them?
Absolutely.
Wow.
To see the way they structure songs, to see what they talk about in songs.
You know what's an amazing story? Stephen Stills, and I agree with you, that he is one of the most underrated guitar players. I find him unbelievable, even when he did his solo work. Tremendous guitar solos and all that stuff.
Yes.
But Joni Mitchell wrote the song Woodstock.
Indeed.
She was upset, right, that she didn't get to go to Woodstock.
Well, she was supposed to go.
Right.
You know, but she also, Woodstock finished on the Sunday. She was supposed to do the Dick Cavett show on Monday, and it was a very important TV show for her biggest entry into TV world, right?
Right, yeah.
But then when 20,000 people are coming, 50,000 people are coming, 100,000 people are coming, 500,000 people are coming, Elliot and Geffen didn't think she'd be able to get out of there to do the TV show.
And they were worried about that.
Oh, of course.
And that killed
kept her there.
So that killed her, and she decided, that's it, I'm writing this song, Woodstock. But getting to my point about Stephen Stills, when he heard the song,
yes,
he said,
He said, Joan, can I use that song? Well, of course, she said. But can I change it? And he turned it into the great rock and roll song that it is.
He really did. Stephen Stills heard this song and knew how to arrange it to make it a hit. And
Absolutely.
That's genius, isn't it?
It is.
Even he took someone else's song.
That's
and
right.
this is one of the best Crosby, Stills, and Nash songs of all time, I think. I love when Joni does it.
How does Joni feel about it?
Joni must have loved it.
I think she did because, I mean, you know, it took her song, which was like a dark, purpley kind of song, and turned it into a balls-out rock and roll song.
So you're saying that when you were with the Hollies, they stifled your creativity. Mama Cass introduces you to Crosby. You and Crosby vibe immediately.
Indeed.
Do you just go off somewhere and play together? How does this vibe
No,
occur?
we didn't actually. We didn't actually. Crosby called me one day and he said, come on, I want you to go up to my friend Peter Tork's house. Peter was, of course, in the Monkees and a very, very great, you know, social kind of guy.
Was Peter Tork a good musician? Or was it just the Monkees?
That's a good, compared to what?
I mean, were any of those guys, I've heard people say Michael Nesmith.
He just gave good parties.
Yeah, right. So Tork had good parties.
That's right.
And you guys were up for a party.
Yeah, and Crosby and I went up there and we opened up the door of the house and, of course, this incredible cloud of smoke comes out of the front door.
Right.
And there's this kid pounding the shit out of the piano. And I'm trying to listen to this kid because it's great. And Crosby's nattering at me, and I say, wait a second, I want to hear this kid. He goes, if you'll just shut up, that's who I want to introduce you to. His name is Stephen Stills.
Oh, wow. And Stills, what was he doing at that point?
The Buffalo Springfield had broken up.
Oh, I see. So he was free.
He was
free
free.
agent.
Yeah.
So much of this depends on timing, right? Because once you get into a band and a record deal and all that,
with different record companies.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's when the three of you said, "Hey, let's sit down and maybe write a few songs together, see if we can do that." Is that when you played in Marrakesh Express?
No.
No.
What happened is I came from London to Los Angeles to be with Joni.
Right.
And David and Stephen were at dinner. And after dinner and smoking a big one, David says to Stephen, "Hey, play Willie that song." And so they sang You Don't Have to Cry, which is a great Stephen Stills song.
Right.
They did it two-part. I said, "Wow, incredible song. Do me a favor, sing it one more time." They looked at each other, kind of shrugged, and sang it one more time. They got to the end, and I said, "Okay, bear with me. One more time." I had my harmony down. I had the words remembered. Whatever vocal sound Crosby, Stills, and Nash has was born in 40 seconds.
Wow. That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So you guys meet, and there was some sort of story in your book about that you auditioned, in a way, for... Who
Yes.
was it? Who did you audition
Well,
for?
we had this apartment in London on Moscow Road where we were rehearsing the first record, and we were good. We could play that entire first record on a couple of acoustic guitars and 3 voices.
Wow.
We were pretty damn good.
You were well rehearsed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And George Harrison and Peter Asher came over. We kind of wanted to be on Apple. They just signed James Taylor.
Yeah.
They were an up-and-coming record company. It was
fit.
the Beatles. Come
Right.
on, let's go.
Yeah.
They didn't like what we did.
Peter Asher
and George Harrison.
And George Harrison listened to you guys perform that first album.
Live in front of their face.
And is that intimidating?
We thought we were crazy. We thought, well, maybe we're not this good. But we did the same thing with Paul and Arthur.
What did George Harrison say? What did he say to you after? He goes, "Well, it's just not right for Apple."
That decision came like 2 days later. They just kind of ummed and ahed and patted us on the head
Why
and
the
left.
fuck couldn't they get that?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know.
And then you also played in front of
Paul and Arthur.
Paul Simon.
Yeah, and Art Garfunkel. Same thing.
Yeah, Simon and Garfunkel.
They
sat
didn't
you
get
down.
it either?
They had the ability to get you signed to what? Some label, right?
Yeah, Columbia. Probably,
And you sat down and you played them the first album.
Yes.
Live. You
Start
did a concert.
to finish. And they didn't get it.
Wow.
Now, what was
Maybe
that?
you guys aren't good.
That's what we
That's
thought.
what that proves.
That's what we thought. And then I thought, well, maybe it's competition or...
Oh, that would have crushed me.
It would have crushed me.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. We didn't quite know what was really going on.
Is that the beauty of being in a band? When you get crushing news like that, at least you have your 2 brothers to sort of
absolutely.
lean on. And
Yeah,
say,
you can light one up and forget the whole thing.
So who the hell believed in you?
Ahmet Ertegun.
Ahmet Ertegun. Boy, that guy had a set of ears, huh?
I'm telling you.
Where, did you do the same thing for Ahmet? Did you
And
go?
he loved it to death.
He got it.
Because he's a music man.
Right.
That's one of the things that's wrong with music companies now.
But George Harrison is a musician.
Yeah, I know, and so is Peter
And so is
Asher.
Paul Simon.
Right.
And so is Arthur Garfunkel.
It's unbelievable.
It blew my mind.
So it proves a point that Ahmet Ertegun, who is a businessman,
but a music man.
A music man, but a businessman, got it more. He understood the commercial potential of Crosby, Stills
and it was
Nash.
Ahmet that suggested Neil join us.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because you see, Stephen had played almost every instrument on that first record. He played the bass, he played the B3, he played lead guitar, he played the piano, right?
Yeah.
When we made that record and we knew that we had to go on the road, how do we do that if one member played all the instruments?
Is that why Neil Young was always in and out of the band? Stephen is such a strong musical presence and really a master arranger and stuff. Did those 2 clash? Is that the problem?
They must have. Because, when Ahmet said, I know who you need to get, man. You need to get Neil Young.
Why did he feel Crosby, Stills, and Nash even needed Neil Young? Brilliant move. I mean, I love the combination of the 4 of you.
We did need another player to play the stuff that Stephen couldn't play if he was playing lead guitar, right?
Right.
Ahmet also understood that part of the magic of the Buffalo Springfield was this clash, guitar-wise, between Stephen and Neil, who would stand like stags on each side of the stage and play a great thing, and then Stephen would go, okay, motherfucker, try this.
It was a competition.
Okay, absolutely.
Right. So
and it's to this day.
They don't get along, do they?
No, they do. They love each other to death.
But it bothered you as a musician and also as a founding member of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, that Young, and I get this so much, that Young would come and go, and that the band didn't mean as much to him as it did to the 3 of you.
I think it did. I just think that he was very focused and concentrated on Neil Young, as he should be.
But I got crazy as a fan when Neil would go off with Crazy Horse, and I felt Crazy Horse was not a great band compared to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I was actually angry because I love the collaboration of the four of you.
Right.
Were you personally hurt when Neil says, and Neil, how did Neil tell you he was leaving the band the first time?
He never said. Let me tell you something. You know, there's a lot of people don't think that Neil Young played in Woodstock because he's not on the film.
Why is he not on the film?
Because he told every single cameraman, you shoot one frame of me and you're dead.
And now I bet he regrets that.
Maybe. But you know what? He's a giant star, so maybe it was right.
Well, you want to know something? I've talked to Leslie West of Mountain. You know, Mountain was at Woodstock.
Sure.
They had a manager who said, concert film, we don't, unless you pay us X amount of dollars, and they were left out of the film, and it would have been huge for Mountain, because that was a great band.
Yeah. I think we all knew that Woodstock was going to be something else, you know.
Do you like your album, Four-Way Street?
I love the spontaneity and the live feel. Some of the tuning bothers me.
It is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Wait until you hear what I'm doing now, Howard.
What are you doing now?
I'm 11 mixes from a 40-song 3-CD set of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young from our 1974 tour, and it will stun you.
Why is it so much better than Four-Way Street? The reason I like Four-Way Street is because the tuning is off and because there are errors. It wasn't manufactured. It was sitting at a real concert. I like that.
Well, we got better and better as a band.
Right.
And in 1974, which of course is, 3 or 4 years after Four-Way Street, we were a better band.
So the album you're working on now is better harmonies?
Yes.
Right. You're just better musicians.
And not only that, but Neil Young hit a writing streak that was unbelievable.
Unbelievably prolific.
He's a great musician. It's Neil Young, for God's sake.
So didn't it break your heart when Neil decides to leave?
No.
I want to talk to you about some of the songs you wrote, and you have been very gracious to play some of them today. And I'm so excited. By the way, we're sitting here, in case you haven't figured it out, we're here with Graham Nash. His new book is called Wild Tales, and a lot of the things we're talking about are covered in the book. You can also go to Graham Nash.
It's like he knew everyone in the music industry.
Well, barely.
He's like the Zelig of music.
These guys were so high, I don't think they know who the hell was in the room.
That's
right. And maybe these stories aren't even true.
You know, in a way, it's kind of dangerous when you read your book, because I am someone who dropped acid as well, and I am very anti-acid. I had a terrible experience with it. Because I took a 4-way hit by myself, and I didn't understand what was happening.
Gotcha.
But yet you credit a lot of your creativity to drugs, yeah? I mean...
Yeah, because, what else can you do? The fact is we were high most of the time.
And LSD, do you think you could have written those songs without the use of drugs?
Oh, absolutely.
You could have, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you were just in that zone.
Yeah.
And as you get more and more famous and your songs become more and more popular, doesn't that just inspire you more to write? And
of course.
Your confidence goes through the roof.
I'm telling you, like I said before, we were full of piss and vinegar.
I love the song Chicago so much. And this was written by you.
Yes.
And I didn't understand the origin of this song until I started to do some research. Chicago was a hotbed. It was 1968.
Yep.
The Chicago Democratic Convention was going on.
That's right.
The Vietnam War was in full swing.
Correct.
A lot of people felt if they went to the convention and protested Hubert Humphrey and all of these people, that it would change the world, that we could make a difference as young people.
And I still believe it.
Yeah. But the thing is, I didn't know who you were writing this for when you said, please come to Chicago.
Just to sing.
You were playing this to
Stephen and Neil
because they didn't want to go to Chicago.
No, it's not that they didn't want to go. They couldn't. They had prior arrangements. And Wavy Gravy, who made the initial call to me to say, won't you come to Chicago just to sing and raise money for their defense fund, it was very fast. David and I actually had the time off to be able to do it, but Stephen and Neil didn't. They wanted to go.
But isn't this song a plea to them to come to Chicago, to drop whatever commitments they had?
Exactly.
Because this was more important. This was a life-changing event?
Exactly.
You got to play it.
Let's treat it. What time is this in the morning?
I know it's early, but come on. This is such a beautiful
it's
song.
11 p.m. at night.
Does a song like
thank you, Robin.
Did this song just come streaming out of you because you were so fired up about Chicago Convention?
As most songs do.
It's one of the great activist songs of all time.
Well, you can't bind and chain and gag a man and call it a fair trial, Howard.
Right.
No matter if he's guilty or innocent, you can't chain him to the bench and call it fair.
You're talking about the Chicago 7, right?
I am.
Okay, so you are a advocate of peace and love and also but an activist. Is that because of your father?
Yes, it is.
A terrible thing happened to your father with the justice system.
That's right. He bought a camera from a friend of his at work.
Right.
And his main joy was to go and shoot pictures of his children at the zoo, for instance.
Right.
And my father turned me on to photography way before I was a musician.
You are a photographer.
Yes, indeed.
Right. You take a lot of pictures. Your stuff's on in shows
That's
and
right.
things like that.
My camera's sitting right on your desk.
You
right
always
here.
have your camera with you. What do you shoot? What kind of camera?
I have a Leica X2. It's a beautiful little small digital point and shoot, and it's fabulous. The lens is sharp as hell. I love this camera.
When you were
anyway, so my dad
Yeah, go ahead.
had bought this camera. The police come to the door, which was unheard of in England. Police at your door? Are you kidding me?
Right.
They wanted to know where he had bought the camera because it had been stolen.
Okay.
And he wouldn't tell them.
Because he wasn't a rat.
Yeah, you don't grass on your friends. You just don't. So anyway, consequently, he ended up...
Did your dad know it was a stolen camera that he had bought?
He certainly did when the police came to the door.
Right.
And he went to jail for a year, and he broke his heart, and he died at 46.
Oh.
And you feel because he went to jail, he died young?
No doubt about it.
What did he die of technically? What was the autopsy?
Something wrong with his liver. About a couple of days before I went on tour with the Hollies to Europe, I went to see my dad. He was in hospital. I couldn't find him. And it's my father. I can't recognize him. And then I saw this orange person.
Wow.
And it was my dad. So obviously something was mightily wrong with his liver.
And you feel that he maybe picked something up in prison or
I just think that when your psyche is down, when you feel like a piece of shit, when you don't think that you're worth anything, everything starts to deteriorate.
Is that why Chicago is such an important song to you? Because you're like, hey, let's fight the injustice, let's fight the system.
Correct.
Because sometimes the system is going to break a man's spirit.
That's right, and it did in my father's case.
Did you know, I just remember that bands were so much more important when I was growing up because of that kind of stuff. You actually got your information, your calling.
It's true,
was
but don't forget that we're completely controlled by the media these days. You know it. You're king of media, right? You know that the people that own the world's media, you could probably count on two hands. They don't want protest songs on their airwaves.
No.
They want us to be sheep and lie down, buy another pair of sneakers and a soft drink and let me rob you.
Does that upset you?
Yes, it does.
Didn't you think when our generation came into power, it was going to be completely different, that things were really going to change and get different?
That's true, but we forgot about time.
What do you mean?
Well, the momentum...
How it changes you?
Yeah, no, not that. The momentum of the planet is so gigantic that to move it even a microsecond takes an enormous amount of energy and time. We did think that we could change the world, but it just happened took longer than we thought it would.
Well, hey, a lot of people just sort of take on their parents' views and they kind of settle into middle age.
That's right, and they're content.
You know, you love the song Ohio, as long as we're talking about activist-type music. You didn't write Ohio.
No,
Neil Young
Neil did.
But you love that song.
Well, I get a call from Crosby. I'm in Los Angeles. Neil and David are up in a place that I had in Pescadero in Northern California. It was a friend's house. Crosby called me and goes, book the studio right now. Get the band together. Get Halverson, who was our engineer, Bill Halverson. I'm coming down tomorrow. I said, boy, you sound intense. What the hell's going on?
What's going on?
He said, wait until you hear this song. I said, what is it? He said, it's called Ohio, and Neil wrote it. I said, what happened? He said, I showed Neil a newspaper with you remember that famous John Philo picture of the girl leaning over the dead body?
You're talking about at Kent State.
At Kent State.
Yeah. One of the students had been shot by a National Guardsman.
4 of them.
Yes.
We slaughtered our own children.
Yes.
Right, so here's the story. So he shows Neil this newspaper or this magazine, whatever it was. He said, I saw Neil walk off with his guitar into the woods, and he comes back an hour later with this song, right?
Wow.
We had Teach Your Children going, it was already in the top 20. It was going towards the top of the charts.
Right.
We put out Ohio immediately and killed our own single because we thought it was more important to talk about America killing its own children than having a hit record.
You're telling me that Neil Young goes off into the woods, an hour later comes out with a fully formed song.
Completely done, finished.
And Crosby thought the song was so important and so good. He said, come on, guys, let's get together, record this.
Immediately.
Even at
and put it out immediately.
Put it out immediately.
Ahmet Ertegun was in the studio. So we cut Ohio. It took us about an hour and a half.
The whole song was cut in an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. Easily. It's a very simple song.
No one does that anymore.
Well, you know.
When Neil goes in the woods and writes that, just from a technical standpoint, how does he come out and present that to you?
Just like that.
He played that for you on a guitar.
On an acoustic guitar, and he said, what are we going to do with it?
You don't write this down, the music. In other words, he just keeps it in his head.
None of us write music. None of us read music.
Right. So
Nobody.
So he just goes off and he comes out with that riff, ding, you know, that riff.
Isn't that a Neil Young riff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
And when you go in the studio and record it in an hour and a half, because it's a band, does Neil make the decision about how it's going to be recorded since he wrote it, or is it a democratic process?
It's a slightly democratic process, but he actually leaned on Stephen a lot. Because they're the real rock and roll heart of CSNY, let's get real.
Right.
I mean, Crosby's a little jazz influence, you know, me, I have no idea what my influence is, but it was mainly Stephen and Neil who made that great rock and roll track.
I see. So when you get in the studio, you defer to those two, and you say, okay, guys, what are we doing? And if you make a suggestion, and does someone ever say, that's just a stupid suggestion, don't do that, because that would crush your spirit also, right?
Yeah, and we're very tender with each other, because we're brothers.
Yeah,
and no matter what we have done, you know, how much backstabbing and how much shit that we've given each other, you know, we really love each other, and we really realize that the most important part of what we do is the music.
Why do you think you never married Joni Mitchell? You were so madly in love with her. You met her at the time when you were in the Hollies, before Crosby, Stills and Nash, right?
Correct.
And she was a beauty, and what a talent. I mean, she had it all.
Yes, she did. And still does, of course.
How long were you with her?
2 years.
2 years. Or was it a great love affair?
It was a great love affair. You know, I'm a little hesitant to say it, but she was at that time absolutely the love of my life.
So why didn't you marry her and create a life with her?
I had just gotten divorced from my first wife.
I see.
And it was a bitter feeling for me, and I didn't know whether I was.
Why were you bitter?
Because of my love had failed with my first wife.
It was a great defeat.
I was defeated. You know, I had to give up. I don't give up.
Yes, but you must have gotten married very young. I mean,
I did get married young.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things. And Joni and I talked about getting married. And I told her that I would have been with her for the rest of my life.
But she kept harping on the marriage thing.
She didn't keep harping on it, but we did talk about it.
And that scared you off.
Yes. What was that, Robin?
She wanted marriage.
We talked about getting married. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, people used to say that when you and Joni, walked into a room, the place would light up. I mean, we were totally in love with each other.
So when you broke up with her, it was because she was looking for marriage, and you weren't willing to commit at that point. You
not
just got
quite.
mad.
Not quite.
Right. No.
She had a grandmother, Sadie Jane McKee, I think her name was, who wanted to go on stage and was stopped by her husband from going on stage. You're supposed to be a wife, cook my dinner, take care of the kids, and get on with it. And Joni felt that maybe I wanted her to give up her career and be my wife. Oh. The furthest thing from my mind. How the hell can you be with Joni Mitchell and say, stop playing?
That's so sexy that she can play and do that, yeah.
And what a beautiful woman she is. You know?
Was there ever any thought of letting her be Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or ever bringing a woman into the mix?
Yeah, that's funny. That would have been interesting. No, there was never any. But, you know, Joni was always one of the lads. You know, she can take a car apart and put it back together, you know.
Wait, are you still friends with her?
Absolutely.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
So it was amicable when you broke up?
I think that I'm probably one of the only men in her life that she really likes still.
Isn't it peculiar how, like, David Crosby is a true hippie. When it came to women, David Crosby would share a woman with you. Like, he didn't get possessive at all. Like,
Not at all.
He'd say to you, Graham, this girl is terrific. You should know her as well.
He did exactly that with John.
Is that a mental... Don't you think that's a little bit... Because he had already slept with Joni.
Yes.
And then he said, hey, come meet Joni.
Yes.
And he did that. And then there was another love of his life, a tragedy. He met a girl,
Christine,
and she died in a car crash.
Yeah, she rolled us a couple of joints by the pool. said, here, enjoy, smoke these. We never saw her again. She was taking the cats to the vet in Novato in Northern California.
Right.
One of the cats jumped into a lap and scratched her. She reached down to take the cat off her lap, veered into a school bus, and was killed instantly.
And by the way, they do say with your animals, you shouldn't let them run in the car free. That's
Not
something
cats,
we've learned.
yeah.
They can be dangerous.
Put them in a cage.
But but he even that was the love of his life, and he shared her with you, right?
Yes.
Isn't that? Don't you think?
And you would
that's
just
really...
take these girls?
Well, why not?
Well, you know what, Robin, you know, a beautiful woman is a beautiful woman, you know.
But didn't that ruin the relationship?
Not at all.
It didn't. David wouldn't say to you, shit, you fucked my girlfriend.
No, it was not at all. He's not that possessive.
But I'm so possessive. I could never share a woman.
Yeah, but you're not David Crosby, Howard.
Could you share one?
Graham, did you ever share?
No, but he gave him chocolates. Did you share as well? Was that your thing too?
No, that wasn't my thing. No,
I can't tell if that's a healthy thing or if that's kind of like a mental illness type thing.
Maybe it's both.
But I was also shocked to read that this girl that we talk about who died,
yes, Christine,
he met her when she was 14. Did you ever say to him, you could go to jail for that?
No, because he wasn't sleeping with her when she was 14.
Oh, he wasn't?
She ran his fan club.
Oh, I see.
You know, it was only until she became older that he got together.
How old did he wait till?
15.
I actually don't know the answer to that, Robin. I don't.
The song Teach Your Children, which is a song you wrote, which is one of my favorite songs. You saw a photograph by Diane Arbus, who is a great photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorites. And it was the image of a boy in Central Park. Was he holding a gun or something?
No, he's holding a hand grenade.
A hand grenade?
Yeah, a plastic hand grenade. Here's the story, right? When I sold my photograph collection at Sotheby's in the late 80s, right, early 90s.
What do you mean you sold your photograph collection?
I had an incredible collection of classic, great photographs.
The original photographs?
Oh, yes, that I'd collected for many, many, many years. But then I saw the digital revolution coming.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I knew that I would have to either get on this train or get run over.
Right.
So I sold my photographs to raise a couple of $1 million to go into this new venture. A show of my collection had a Diane Arbus photograph of the boy in Central Park with a hand grenade next to a portrait of Krupp, who was the German arms magnate, right? And I looked at these two images with this young kid with a plastic hand grenade is grimacing and would, willingly blown up the world, next to the portrait of the man that did blow up the world.
Right.
And I began to realize that if we don't teach our children a better way of dealing with our fellow human beings, we're fucked.
So is that what went in your head? Oh, we have to teach our children well?
That's right.
That's it. That's how the song developed.
That's
you
how
had
it started.
the phrase, teach our children well.
That's
Just
right.
give me a little verse and chorus of teach your children well. And how long did it take you to write this song? Was this one of these that just pour right out of you?
No, this was,
you had to work at
2 or
this.
3 hours, because I began to realize that it was a two-way street. That not only do we have to teach our children well, but we have to learn from our children also.
Give me like that becomes a hit. Like it just came right out of your head like that.
I'm telling you this, though. When I first did it, it sounded like Henry VIII, right?
Right.
Stephen heard the song. He said, don't ever play it like that again.
But you say when you originally wrote that song, it was eerie and slow.
Yes, and very English, and you who are on the road. It's like very English, right?
And Stephen was the one who said, make it a country song.
Not only that, but he turned it into the hit that it became.
Don't put that guitar down yet. I got to ask you about a bunch of other ones.
Okay.
When you wrote Our House, I love this story. You were living with Joni Mitchell, and
we went to breakfast at Art's Deli on Ventura. You probably know it.
I don't even know how to get out of my house.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yes.
Well, so we'd finished breakfast and we were walking back to her car and we passed an antique store. And she saw a vase in the window that she really liked. And Joni, hardly spends $1 on herself. I persuaded her to buy it. And it was one of those grey, drizzly mornings in Los Angeles. We got back to the house and I said, hey, I'm going to light a fire. Why don't you put some flowers in that new... All of a sudden, I'm off and running.
Is that what happens? As you're saying it, you realize it's a poem.
I realize it's such an incredibly ordinary moment that millions of men may have gone through.
I'll light the fire.
Yeah, you make the dinner, I'll light the fire, right?
So the words came first? So in other words...
That first line came first.
And then where does the tune come from? Do you rush off and say, I got to write that right now?
No, it just came all together. It only took me about an hour and a half to write Our House.
Let me hear a little bit, just a little.
Well, it's a piano song, but
go ahead, a little bit on the guitar.
light the fire. Yeah, I don't even know the chords in it. You place the flowers in the vase that you bought today. I mean, it's a very simple song.
You were really recounting what just happened in
What
town.
had just happened, what I just said to Joan.
Why do you play Blackbird in concerts so much? Is that just a beautiful song to you?
Oh, what an incredible song.
It's a song, really, that the Beatles wrote about black people. They were saying
In the civil rights movement.
Civil rights movement. Time for you to rise up, spread your wings and fly.
That's right, because, you know, in England, as you well know, a woman is usually not called a chick, but called a bird. Right.
Yeah.
And so they were, you know, it was a civil rights movement.
Who wrote it? McCartney wrote it?
It's a pure McCartney song.
Right, and when he wrote it, what he was trying to say is, was he singing it to a black chick or just to
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. You know,
Blackbird
to
fly.
rise up, take your wings. Come on, let's go. Let's rock. This is the 20th century.
And so when you guys are in concert, a lot of times you'll do Blackbird. You
That's
just
right.
love it.
Very much. I did it night before last, as a matter of fact.
I told you one of my favorite songs that you wrote was Right Between the Eyes because it makes me think of my grandfather.
Why?
Because I told you this years ago. Right Between the Eyes was a thing my grandfather, he used to talk about looking a man right between the eyes.
How interesting.
That was his thing. And when I heard that song, it always brings me to tears. And you actually played it in my studio. You don't remember, but I do. We play it all the time. It's so great. And but you wrote that about, you're going to make me cry.
Go for it.
You just want to see me cry.
My head is hanging heavy with the thoughts of him in mind. It's sacrilege for us to take advantage of the blind. So tell before you come to me from out of yonder skies. A man's a man who looks a man right between the eyes.
Love that. I'm going to go to bed with you.
Oh, my.
That was
now
about a
it
woman.
finally comes out.
But
Howard Stern, gay.
that was a woman. Yeah, come on, let's get crazy. Well, that was about a woman. You were seeing.
When a man writes like that, you have to sleep with him.
Were you sleeping with a woman who was a friend?
Yes.
Friend's wife.
Yes.
And that was your confessional song.
Yes.
Because in other words, you were saying, "I want to look you between the eyes and confess."
And tell you what happened. Yeah, they had a breakup in their relationship, and there was like this month-long gap. And I loved this woman. She was a stunning beauty, a white Russian lady, and you know, I had a very short, very satisfying affair with her. But I felt a little guilty, you know, because she was still with John, and that was my confessional song. Yes.
I wish I could look you
Did he
right
get
between
it?
the eyes. Did you actually tell your friend? Did you confess to him?
I never did.
You never did. It's just a song fantasizing about if you could have.
That's right.
You're sad telling that story.
Yeah, I am sad.
Oh, you're ashamed of it?
No, I just didn't. I don't want to bring pain to anybody.
Right.
Because don't forget I wrote, and the pain that we could bring to him, I don't think he could beat. Please don't ask me how I know. I've just been up that street, and all the people living there have been silenced by their own lies. A man's a man who looks a man right between the eyes.
So what you're saying there is, if
I didn't have the balls to tell him.
Because you know that kind of pain, someone had done that to you?
That's right.
Wow. Who did that to you?
You know, several ladies.
They ran off with a guy that...
Sure.
Yeah.
Hasn't
I think every
that
guy
happened to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of someone in particular who did that. Who was like banging my
Really?
friend, and she thought, she goes, "Oh, I didn't know I was your girlfriend." I go, "I thought you were. I didn't realize."
Don't we all go through madness with these women? I mean, that's why I got into rock and roll in the first place. I wanted to get laid, you know.
And laid you did, my
I'm
friend.
afraid I did.
Yes, you did. What's going on now? You're married, right?
I've been married to Susan for 37 years.
How's that going?
Phenomenal.
Haven't shared it with anybody?
Nope.
You say in the book that you did not want Neil Young in the band originally. Why?
We had just created this incredible album with 3-part harmony, right?
Yeah.
Why would we need a 4th harmony?
Right.
I didn't, and why would we invite someone to play in our band whom I'd never met.
Who pushed so hard? Ahmet for that?
Ahmet.
And his word goes? I mean...
Yes. Ahmet Erdogan was a very smart man.
But did Stephen at first fight it too?
He fought it. Yeah. What? You want me to go back there again? I just did 2 years with this madman. You want me to go back?
But you couldn't force the Beatles to take on a member that they didn't want. Crosby, Stills and Nash was a very successful band.
That's right.
You could not force three guys to
I
take
know,
on a fourth.
but listen to the stuff that Neil had been writing.
You're not going to get
Expecting to Fly, Clancy, all those.
You're not going to get an argument from me. I just can't figure out how they forced that all on you.
They didn't force it on us. They suggested it. Nobody tells us what to do. Nobody.
It's pretty amazing, too, when you go into how drugs almost like really destroyed Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
They nearly destroyed Crosby, which nearly destroyed Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, yes.
Do you think if something had happened to him, that would have been the end? You and Stephen would
I would have lost complete heart.
Yeah.
Crosby's my brother. I love him.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing music, amazing career.
Thanks, kid.
And what did you do when you saw him going downhill? What do you do?
I felt pretty guilty, actually, Robin. I'll tell you why. Because one of the joys of Crosby's life was the making of music. And I knew that. And so I kept emphasizing and encouraging that side of him. However, the more music you make, especially in those days, the more money you made, the better drugs you could afford. So I was torn totally between keeping my friend's spirit alive and chancing the fact that he would die.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, you write about in the book, too, when you first saw Jimi Hendrix. Like, you were at a club with a bunch of heavyweights. It was you guys. Who else was there?
John and Paul were there.
John and
Brian
Paul.
Jones was there.
Brian Jones of the Stones.
But I didn't. That's not the first time I saw Jimmy. The first time I saw Jimmy was 1965 at the Soupy Sales Easter show at the Paramount Theater in New York Square.
You are kidding me.
Right?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wait, listen to this. Little Richard is the star of the bill, and we watched him. I mean, he was kick-ass. I mean, Little Richard is phenomenal, right?
Great entertainer.
One day, after the show, he comes out, he is screaming, "You motherfucker, don't you ever play guitar with your teeth again, you mother..." And it was Jimmy.
Great advice. Don't you use those teeth, young man. But then when you were in England, I guess, and all these guys, McCartney's there and Lennon and all that, all these guys who you know, you're all there to what? You had heard about him?
Oh, yeah. His reputation. You know, Eric Clapton and particularly Pete Townsend had been spreading the word about this new kid from America and that you better come and watch this kid because this is something special.
It was almost like going to school, right?
Yes. For guitar players, yeah.
Clapton said that night was so, it was almost detrimental to him. He felt like he wanted to put down his guitar after he saw Jimi Hendrix.
Well, thank God he didn't.
No, of course not. But it was that mind-blowing.
He was that mind-blowing.
Why was it so mind-blowing?
Because there was an incredible energy. Right. And there was only 3 of them in the experience. There was only Mitch Mitchell on drums and Noel Redding on bass.
Were Mitch and Noel good musicians?
Mitch was an incredible drummer. I don't think that Noel had played bass before he joined the experience.
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Wow. And on the albums, Jimmy played all the instruments. That's what I've heard.
I still think that that Noel played bass and Mitch very much played drums because Mitch Mitchell came to live with me in my apartment. He was, you know, he didn't, you know, they were just catching fire and he didn't have any place to live. So I come over and live with me. So then I was able to hang out with Mitch and hang out with Jimmy. And let me tell you something. Nobody in the world could beat Jimi Hendrix at Risk. You know the board game Risk?
Yeah, Risk, yeah.
He'd play Risk on acid. You never stood a chance.
What a life you've had. No wonder you had to write a book. No, you really have. The book's great, and it does capture a lot of this, but it's almost mind-blowing to think of you guys, all these superstars, sitting in an audience watching Jimi Hendrix. When John Lennon is removed from the earth by this monster, where are you when you hear that word?
I was watching Miami. I think I was watching a football game. I was at Susan's house. And then Howard Cosell came on and said, we just got this news flash that John Lennon had been shot. And by the end of the half, he was dead.
How well did you know him? I mean, it sounds like you knew all these guys.
I met John November the 19th in 1959.
1959? Wow. Mm-hmm. And where is this?
Do you know those kind of shows where a local promoter gets a bunch of local talent and then at the end they put their hand above it and if the audience claps better for you, then you win?
Yes.
Check
like
this.
A talent show.
Yeah, exactly. Check this out.
Like America's Got Talent, yeah.
Me and Alan Clark, who later formed the Hollies, were on that bill. We won. We did a Conway Twitty song called It's Only Make Believe. There was a guy called Freddie Garrity who became Freddie and the Dreamers.
Right.
A man called Ron Wycherley who became Billy Fury, and Johnny and the Moondogs from Liverpool.
And that was John Lennon's band.
They did Think It Over by Buddy Holly.
And you beat him.
I'm afraid we did.
You did. Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Were you shocked
You see
when
why I call him the Zelig of music?
Were you shocked?
Everywhere.
Were you shocked when you? Yeah. By the way, how do you know where to go to be part of this whole scene? You know.
You just played music. I mean, after World War II, there was nothing the 15-year-old kids had to do. You kick a ball around and you think it's good. And
You
then
seem so brave, though. Were you nervous at 15 to get up on a stage?
I've never been nervous.
Never.
Never.
And when you got up, you always had confidence.
No, that's what I wanted to do. Why would I be nervous? That was Stephen that said he was scared shitless at Woodstock. It wasn't me.
When did you first know you wanted to be a musical?
Since I was 13 years old.
And what did you see that made you think of that?
Skiffle, Lonnie Donegan, early American rock and roll. I wanted it. I wanted it.
Were you considered a prodigy musically? I mean, did
not
anyone...
at all. And I'm still not a great musician. But I can play guitar to write songs and play piano. But I'm not a great
You're a
musician.
great songwriter, wouldn't you think?
I don't know if I'm a great songwriter, but
You're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but what does that mean, Robin? You know, it's like
It means something to me. I don't know.
No, it means something
Other
to me too. It's
songwriters
very
think
important.
you're
but
good, yeah.
I know, but I can't think that way about myself.
So go back. You hear Howard Cosell say that you're a friend. I mean, a guy you knew on the scene.
Yeah.
John Lennon has been shot.
And then the news later, a half hour later, that he had been killed. You know, and the thing that about that really upsets me, and it was just, I felt the same when George passed away, was how many incredible songs were in their minds that we'll never hear.
That's what kills me.
Kills me.
To this day, I think, oh my, what would John Lennon have done if he? I mean, the guy was such an interesting
What
guy.
would Buddy Holly have done with today's technology?
Right.
What would Jimmy do with today's technology?
I often ask Robin that too. I always have this thought, like, if Jimi Hendrix had lived, would he have burned out, or would he be like Sly and the Family Stone, living somewhere where you can't even find him, or would he have been still like one of the great rock acts?
I tend to believe that he would still have been one of the great rock acts because he was so ahead of his time.
But he wasn't doing any more drugs than anyone else. He just got a bad, or maybe he was. Was he doing way too much, like even compared to you guys?
Jimmy's main love was acid.
Acid.
Yeah.
And yet that's not what he OD'd from.
No, he didn't. And who knows what actually happened?
You trip with him a lot?
Several times.
At your place?
Mainly at his place. One day we went to see Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention at the Royal Albert Hall. Yeah. And Jimmy and I were sitting there together. And we see Brian Jones up in one of the boxes. And so during the intermission, we go, hey, let's go to see if Brian's got anything.
And Brian did.
And so we stood up to go over to the box, and a spotlight hit us. And I'm paralyzed. I'm on acid with Jimi Hendrix, and the spotlight is shining in our face. Yeah. Man, it's been a wild life, Howard.
What about Brian Jones? Do you think that he was murdered?
I believe so.
You do? Mm-hmm. Brian Jones, I'm talking, of course, of the Rolling Stones, for anyone who doesn't know. He was a guitar player of the band.
It was Brian's band.
Right, I know.
It was Brian's band. He got everybody into the blues and Muddy Waters.
It seems like something dark was going on there.
Yeah, when the Hollies played a tour with the Rolling Stones, Brian and Mick and Keith were not talking to each other, and Brian came and drove with me and Tony Hicks for the entire tour. He was not a happy boy. He had seen something that he thought that was pure blues and saw it being turned into some kind of spectacle, and he didn't like that. He was a sad boy at the end.
Yeah. But you don't have any clue who might have heard him or...
Well, the rumors are it was one of the people that were working on his house that got pissed off because he either didn't pay him enough or he upset him or insulted him or something. But, the heavy rumor around the industry is that he was drowned in his pool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's so sad.
Yes.
A lot of
but you're saying he didn't like... the way the Stones were going?
Yeah, I think, Brian was a purist. He just wanted it to be a blues band, not a shaking your ass, let's get the women band.
Yeah, 27 years old. You forget how young that guy was.
That's right, but Jim Morrison, same.
Yeah.
Right? Dwayne
Did you know Jim?
You know what? I did not know Jim. I met him twice, and the last time that I saw him, he bought my television.
No kidding. What'd you charge him?
I was I know exactly, $300.
You have an incredible memory for this stuff. You can even mention the year that you saw Jimi Hendrix and all that.
Yes.
I don't have that kind of...
Sure you do. It's all in there, Howard. You just don't choose to remember.
Is it hard writing a book and pulling out all those facts?
It was fun.
It was?
Yeah, but the one thing that I'm really pleased about it, I can get on with the rest of my life now.
Right, yeah, you got it all out.
You dumped it all out.
It's like taking a massive dump, that's it. Well, you are unbelievable. You are unbelievable.
Well,
I love you.
Thank you.
And I love your music.
Unbelievable life.
And I want to thank you for all of the great listening. I mean, just this past weekend, I had your music out and was just enjoying it. And it really, what an accomplishment in your life.
Thank you, Howard.
I'm proud to say I know you. The great Graham Nash has written a book.
What does he think of music today?
He loves it. Well, it's not the same, right?
It's not the same.
It doesn't have the importance that it used to.
Well, it's not that. It's just that it's taken on a different form. It's now how good you can dance and how far you can stick your tongue out.
Graham Nash's new book, Wild Tales. Hey, by the way, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, did they ever consider like a name for the band instead of just Crosby? It was always Crosby, Stills, and Nash?
Always.
Right.
Doesn't that flow off the tongue better than Nash, Stills, Crosby? Yeah.
How did they come up with the order?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, because it rolls off the tongue better. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. It's like one thing, right?
And maybe that's why you were against, it was all of a sudden Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Yeah, it sounded like a law firm then, right?
Yeah. How many more guys can we add to this thing? Graham Nash's new book, Wild Tales, is in store now, and it's a great book. You got to pick it up. For more information, you go to grahamnash.com, and Graham Nash informs us that he's working on a project where he's not exactly happy with Four-Way Street as a live album, so now he is going to rectify that situation, and he is mastering a brand new live album from Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
From our tour of 1974 with the average audience of 70,000.
And that was a Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young?
Correct.
Oh, well, send me a copy immediately.
You know something, Howard? You're going to call me after I send it to you, and you're going to go, this is stunning.
I would call you, but you won't give me your number.
I'll give it to you right now.
Well, that might be a mistake.
Robin has it.
I might have been. Oh, I know. I think she was living with you and Joni Mitchell.
Oh, God.
That's right. And by the way, a fuck you to Art Garfunkel for turning you down. I want to say that right now. Paul Simon, all you guys.
He's kicking himself.
That's
He's
right.
kicking himself.
Yeah, think of all the money he would have had if he had just signed you guys.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows who he signed? All right, listen. Enough of your yentering and reminiscing. Thank you for being here. The great Graham Nash, everybody.
We've been friends for a long time, Howard, and I have great respect for you.
Well, thank you very much, and I love you. And we will be back right after these words.
Mr. Nash, at one point you guys were discussing, the musical revolution that you're a part of, and how that can exist today because of the way media manipulates
That's true.
the industry. Why is Howard important to sort of...
Because he speaks his mind, and he speaks truth to power. And he gets upset when things are unfair, and he gets upset when he sees half the stuff that's going on. He gets upset when he sees us being lied into wars. He's a very, very bright man, and he speaks his mind, and you've got to applaud that.
You need someone to keep, the anti-revolution in check.
The flame has got to keep burning, and it's people like Howard and my friends who write songs about, the important stuff that's going on today. It's important to have a voice like that, and Howard Stern has an incredible voice and uses it brilliantly.
Do you think there are any current bands today who reflect that voice and are keeping the flame burning as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think people like the Fleet Foxes and the people like this, particularly Jason Mraz. Jason and I are working on an incredible project right now from our friend Spencer Proffer. It's an acoustic album of Jimi Hendrix music. And Jason Mraz has done a version of Angel, Jimmy's song Angel. Stunning. Me and Crosby harmonized with it. It's stunning. Wait until you hear it.
So as long as artists like that still exist,
the flame is alive, and we feel that we're doing our job. We're really troubadours going from town to town telling everyone, hey, you know what, the emperor really doesn't have any clothes on. I mean, that's all we are. We're just troubadours.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by today, and good luck with your new book.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Right. So Don John is a new movie. You saw it, I understand?
Yes. Yeah, I like
So
it.
he wrote, directed, stars, he did the whole thing. Wolfie had mentioned that it looked like he was going to be the next Batman.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, and then that just didn't happen. You know, Ben Affleck got the role. So
why
what
was he?
happened?
Why did he feel he looked like he was going to be the next Batman?
Because at the end of the movie, he discovers the Batcave, and it just assumed.
Who was he in Batman? I forget.
He was. Do you know who was he in Batman?
He played
a detective, right? Or
Yeah,
something?
a cop that was working with Gordon, and at the end, it pretty much intimated that he was going to be the next one.
Right.
Because the detective discovered Batman's cave.
He got into the Batcave. He looked around.
But Batman was still alive, so why would he be the next Batman?
Well, people thought it was going to be maybe Robin.
Oh.
He's like he's on fire right now in terms of like, you know, he's got good roles and everything. Like, why go out on your own and do like why make your own movie and take that chance when you could just take great roles?
Okay.
All right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's here. He's our next guest. Look at this.
What is this, The Tonight Show?
Yeah, huh? Hey, let me ask you a question. The new movie, Don John, he directs it, he wrote it. He's been working on it for like a million years.
You know,
Take a
this is
look
a
at
young
you.
man who
Look at
was a
you.
child actor and has really
Yes.
progressed.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. Hey, man, good to meet you.
Pleasure's mine. Pleasure's
Enjoying
mine.
your movies and stuff. You know, the question always is, I would say your career. Hey, good to see you.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
I would say your career is on fire. You're doing really well.
Thanks,
You know what I
thanks.
mean? You've been in a lot of good movies.
Thank you.
Were your agents upset with you, or whoever talks to you about your career?
Yeah.
Were they upset that you decided to direct and write and star in your own movie? In other words, I'm sure you get offered a lot of cool roles.
Yeah, I mean, and if you were just looking at it like from a money perspective, it's not necessarily the most go-to surefire way to maximize profit.
That's the thing. So did anyone sit you down and say, look, you've got a bunch of movies, you can only do so many a year. Listen, son, you know, enough with the directing and writing. I love the movie,
Do
by the way.
that
I saw
when
it.
things
Thanks,
slow
man.
down.
You liked it. That means a lot to
Fucking
me.
great. Well, first of all, it's like an R-rated movie that you don't see that anymore. All you see is like these big sort of superhero movies.
Sure.
And what I liked about it is you're dealing with an adult topic.
Yeah.
Every guy I know jerks off way too much.
Every guy?
This would be your movie.
Yeah. I mean, you just shook my hand. I'm pretty sure I just finished jerking off. I got to tell you, you know, it really deals with a topic that I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
Thanks,
I love
man.
the movie.
Thank you. You're right. And when it's rated R, you get to talk like people actually talk. You don't have to restrict yourself.
And I think women will like this movie because
Definitely.
it lets it out of the bag that this is how guys watch pornography.
Sure.
And that we'd rather jerk off sometimes than be with a woman because it's less aggravation. And then there's kind of a love story there where you kind of come to a full realization type thing, you know?
Yeah, and it also shows both sides because the character that Scarlett plays, you know, her character, she's
hot, man.
She's very hot, and but she watches just as many romantic comedies as my character watches pornography. So it does kind of tell it from both sides, which is, I think, why. Yeah, both men and women have been really digging it.
Did you have to cut a lot of this stuff out because they wanted to give you an X rating on this movie?
I didn't cut anything out. No time, no lines, no beats.
Really?
I did change. So there's a few montages in the movie, just to explain. You've seen it, but for people who haven't seen
There's
it.
a lot of hardcore, you know.
It's sampled from real pornography clips, but it's very carefully edited and cropped, and it's, you know, it fits into a rated R movie. I always wanted it to be a rated R movie.
I love it because when I made my film, I made it rated R because I wanted to make an
Private
adult movie.
parts.
Private parts. I wanted to
Sure.
make an adult movie. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And deal with some adult themes.
Well, when I first started thinking of the movie as this kind of comedy, I was in the middle of shooting 50-50. I don't know if you've seen that movie. I was in.
Yeah,
and
saw
that's,
that
you know,
movie.
the Seth Rogen and that whole gang of guys, they make rated R comedies.
That's right.
And they improvise a lot, and they can talk how they talk in real life.
Yeah.
Because if, you know, look, and you can say this on the radio now, right? Fucking shit and whatnot.
Yeah, you can
when
say
I was
what you-
growing up,
Right,
you know, you couldn't say that on the radio on your show.
No. Not only had to make up like
No,
weird
because that was
words.
real radio. This is satellite.
Like bullshit,
Right.
you know?
But was it bleeping, or you just couldn't say the stuff?
You just couldn't say it.
Yeah,
had
you
to
would just
find-
avoid it.
You'd find creative ways of trying to talk like a normal person, you know?
Right.
But even that I'm here now, I don't want to just use profanity for the sake of it. But if it works in, then great. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't-
if it's just an emphasis, an accentuation, maybe.
When I watched the movie, I said, "Oh, Tony Danza, interesting choice for the guy to play your father."
Isn't he awesome
I
in it?
thought he was great and funny, but I didn't realize when you were a kid actor,
Yeah,
you worked with Tony Danza.
it was our 20-year reunion. in Angels in the Outfield in 1993, and I was 12.
So I think it was the guy who was in Batman with you, Christopher. What's his name? I can't think of the guy's name.
Who, Christian Bale?
Christian Bale. Did he tell you not to direct your own movie and write a movie? Didn't somebody advise you?
Oh, yes. That's something that went around on the internet. That's not really true, but what they're talking about is Christopher Nolan, who directed.
Oh, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
right,
the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception, and he was really supportive. I was working on The Dark Knight Rises when I finished the draft of the script, and I told him I think I want to direct something. And what he started doing was asking me questions, and he did ask me, like, are you sure you want to act and direct at the same time? He also asked me, what kind of budget do you think you're going to try to do? Are you going to get a big studio to try to pay for?
What was your budget? Was that a big budget? That's not a big budget film, is it?
It was a very low budget movie. It had like about half the budget of 500 Days of Summer, which has about a third of the budget of the lowest budget movies.
What's the budget on your new movie?
It was like $4 million.
Don John. Wow, looks bigger than that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been coming for years. I've been working towards this.
You're really excited about this. And I don't blame you, because this is really your baby.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever had the story in my head. I mean, like, I know how I want to do it. I know how I want to tell the story. I know I want to shoot it and cut it and score it and everything, and went and made it.
And you really started thinking this up at 2008?
The first ideas of like a Don Juan type of character who watches too much pornography, and a princess type of character who watches too many romantic comedies.
Right, the typical guy who just thinks he's hot shit, and the fact that he can fuck anything he wants, but regardless of that, he doesn't care. He wants to jerk off.
Well, he likes the one-way thing. He doesn't want to actually deal with a person, another human being. He likes just having it.
How much of this is autobiographical, in the sense that if this whole script came out of your
head? Have you had a phase like that?
Have you been in relationships with women where you go, you know what, she's a fucking pain in my ass, and I'd just rather jerk off? Is that what?
I haven't had long relationships with women like that, because I don't stay in relationships if the woman's like that.
What is that? But you have long relationships with women, but you're quick to run. Is that because you're famous and you're worth about $25-30 million, and why get married?
Hard to argue against that. I don't think so. I think I'm a pretty good person and a good boyfriend. And I wouldn't want to be with someone if they were going to be disrespectful to me.
Do you think that you ever could get married to someone and be faithful for the rest of your life?
That's a really good question.
No is the answer.
Yes, your girlfriend is asking that question.
I think that I could partner up with somebody. I don't know who that somebody is. I could partner up with a woman and commit to, like, okay, we're going to raise a family. And that's this project we're going to stick to for whatever it is, 20-something years.
But you don't think you could be sexually monogamous?
No, I think during that time, if that was part of it and it made sense, I could be sexually monogamous. After that, once the kids are out of the house, things go so fast. My life changes so much. You
love meeting new people. You can't. Nothing.
Who knows if it's the better thing for me or the better thing for her? Or maybe I will spend the rest of my life with her. My parents are still together. My grandparents, I had 75 years of marriage or something.
Did your parents push you into being a child actor?
Not at all. That's an important question. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah,
because I was a kid when I was working. I started when I was 6.
That's what I'm saying. So how can you say your parents didn't?
I swear to you, they did not. I remember it very particularly. I remember. Well, I was in
wait a second. Your family. Your grandfather was a film director.
He was. That's true. Yeah.
Your father was an artist.
No. He was a journalist. He was on the radio.
He was on the radio.
Yeah.
Pacifica,
he did news.
Right? But he was a news guy.
Yeah.
And your mom was something of an actress or something.
No, not an actress. She worked at the same radio station my dad did. She was doing journalism stuff, and then she also. You're thinking of, she ran for Congress at one point under the Peace and Freedom Party.
Pretty incredible parents. I mean,
they are incredible parents.
Accomplished people. You see a close relationship. You see marriage. There's something there that you see not right, though, right? Because it's not for you.
I didn't say it's necessarily not for me. I said I didn't know if it was or wasn't.
Right.
I like to not be too committed to any one future that's really far away necessarily, unless there's a reason, which is why I'm saying if you were going to raise a family and say, like, we're going to raise these kids, that's the reason we're staying together, we're going to do it right the whole time,
so
I can see making that commitment.
I think Don John is autobiographical, in a sense. It's an exaggeration. Do you masturbate to porn in your personal life?
I have. Yes,
you have?
Sure.
Do you feel that you have an addiction to porn?
Do I feel that? No, I wouldn't say that. No,
do you sometimes personally prefer porn to being with a real woman?
Well, I've had some some sex with women that wasn't so good. I think we all have
Where's
at some
better?
point or another. I've also had lots of sex that was good, you know.
I used to be obsessed with this. The reason I love your movie, Don John, is because I feel I was obsessed with, I got to have sex, I got to have sex, I got to have sex.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me that I didn't need that much sex.
It becomes like a thing that you're consuming, and you keep score, you know, against your buddies. It becomes a competition,
Right.
you know,
It
as
becomes
opposed
crazy.
to a connection with another person. That's the whole story of Don John, is this guy that can't connect with anybody. And it's the women in his life. It's also the family you see with the Tony Danza scenes.
Yeah, I think you've
his
tapped
buddies,
into a lot of what a lot of people are going through. That they can't connect with real people.
Right.
They can't stay in a relationship. They don't see the joy in it, and they don't see the beauty in it.
And they're used to this sort of one-way satisfaction given by whatever media they consume, whether that's pornography or television. You know, let's talk about people being addicted to television or just any kind of media, or
thinking that television people are their friends. Yeah, that's
Right.
their whole relationship.
Are you like one of those hippie kind of guys? Like you won't watch that much TV? You strike me as one of these guys. You know what I mean?
I like my things that I like to watch.
Yeah, what do you watch now on TV?
On
Breaking
TV?
Bad?
I haven't kept up with that. No, I mean
Really?
I watch the NBA. I'm excited. I'm a Lakers fan.
So you're
when the
you watch
season-
sport.
really just the Lakers.
Are you a fan of any television though? I'm talking about like dramas on TV.
Episodic
and this kind
television.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Anybody you admire?
Dramas on TV. Louis C.K. I mean, it's
Louis
not
you
a
like.
drama exactly, but that is brilliant. He makes, I think, brilliant little half-hour movies.
Because you were pissed off when in your career. You were a child actor. You worked on.
I was pissed off. Be nice. What do you mean?
No, we're going to get to this. You were on 30 Rock from the Sun. Or whatever that
Third
is.
Rock.
Third Rock from the Sun. I don't know any of that.
30 Rock from the
I'm out of it, man. You know, I'm on a whole nother trip.
Every
busy
single
masturbating.
person always makes that mistake.
All right, Third Rock from the Sun. You were on there. You were a kid.
Yeah.
And I admire you. You said the final year of that show, you said, "Fuck it, I'm not going to that anymore. I'm going to college."
Well, that's yeah.
Right?
Okay, that is true.
That's admirable because you probably turned down a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you were smart. You said, you know what? I want to go get an education. I want to go have a real life.
And the producers of that show were really generous to let me out of the contract.
Where'd you go to college?
To Columbia here in the city.
Right. So you're a smart guy. You go to Columbia. You're probably getting tons of pussy because you were on TV.
You had been on TV.
Yeah, right.
See, I never, and maybe that is part of what this movie's about. I don't know, but I never was able to be honest, it always freaked me out too much. I grew up, I was, on TV and movies and stuff since I was a kid. So, like, getting attention from girls for that reason, I've always had a bit of a phobia about it,
so
in a way.
when you go to Columbia, how did you know if a girl was really into you?
That's a really good question. I ask myself all the time.
What's the test? Do you give them some, hey, do you know who I am? Or
Yeah, I don't think there is one test. It's kind of a case-by-case, thing. You just have to kind of...
to find a real person.
Do you think you know now? Do you think you can figure it out?
I think I have a pretty good sense with everybody, but yeah.
I admire that you were able to say no to Hollywood. Now, I'm not bullshitting you. I find it in my own life very difficult to say no to things. It's very, very, you want to almost grab everything.
That's the only power you have as an actor, is to say no. You can choose what project you do. Well, you can say no to the rest.
That's why I admire that you made your own movie and you wrote it because financially, the grab would be for, hey, my career is hot.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good stuff going on. Let me grab at
Keep
something
going.
here. But you made and it could be a very wise movie because I think you've directed a really good movie and this could lead to more directing.
Thanks, man. Well, I hope so, too. I'm really glad you liked it.
But saying no to
who
Hollywood.
are your heroes?
When saying no to Hollywood, when you're, a young guy and you're on Third Rock from the Sun and walking away from it all and going to college, shows you're together.
Thanks.
It does. It's psychological. Did you ever go in therapy?
I never did, no.
Never saw a psychiatrist?
Why would he go into therapy? He's still young. He hasn't made any mistakes.
He's also he's beaten off a lot, according to his might be
But
beating
who are
off
your
too much.
who are your heroes? Who do you admire?
Clearly me.
In show business. Clearly you. Yes. Okay.
Let's see. Who do I admire in show business?
Like in the movie making industry.
Well, there's a director named Hal Ashby that made Harold and Maude and
Great movie.
Shampoo and Being There, and
That's a great director.
let's see. I mean, Woody Allen. I love his movies.
When you so you leave Third Rock from the Sun, you go to college.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly then you decide, hey, I'm done with college. I want to go back and act.
Yeah.
And you were getting offered some TV roles, but you wanted to get into film.
Yeah.
That was a hard time for you, right? Because everyone was saying, he's trying to make a comeback.
That's just it. I couldn't get a job.
Right. And the TV didn't interest you. You wanted to be a film actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, again, you had to turn down shit.
You're right.
See what I'm saying?
For a lot of money, if you want to know the truth.
Well, what did you get offered?
Yeah.
Did you get offered some cool TV shows that became big hits?
I don't remember, any like that. I mean, I got offered some TV shows, but I don't remember any particular that became hits.
And when you say big money, you're not kidding, because for a kid just out of college, in a sense, getting offered these TV roles, it's a lot of money a week. Isn't
Television, yeah, like network television like that is quite a payday.
So you kept getting offered this stuff. You stuck to your guns. And what was the role in the movie that finally broke for you, that you got something?
I mean, there was one Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival. I had a couple movies there, these little indie movies, one called Mysterious Skin, one called Brick, and, then it's Scott Frank, who made The Lookout, saw Mysterious Skin, and then Chris Nolan, who saw... he put me in Inception, and it goes kind of one thing to another. I've been working a long time, and it's just been
At the end of Batman, The Dark Knight.
Right, The Dark Knight Rises. Howard.
It's sort of implied that your character was either going to be Robin to Batman,
right,
or maybe even in some way become Batman,
right?
Because that's what it led us to believe.
Yeah.
And now they just announced that Ben Affleck's going to be Batman.
That's right.
Was there some sort of notion that you would be the next Batman? I think you could be a good Batman.
Thanks. Well, that's a huge compliment. Thanks very much.
And I'm a big Batman fan.
Are you? Me too. I love Batman.
Huge. I'm a big comic book guy. So was there any discussion about you being the next Batman?
There wasn't, no. And Chris Nolan directed a trilogy. His plan was always to have 3 movies. He said very specifically, The Dark Knight Rises will be the third and final story of this trilogy that I'm making.
Right.
And I think it's a really good ending, because it talks about it throughout, that Batman is more than a man, and it's a symbol, and we all have a hero within us. And so to have somebody else in the Batcave at the end of that trilogy, not Bruce Wayne, I think is a really cool ending.
So were you kind of shocked when they chose Ben Affleck? Because maybe you thought somewhere along the line you'd get the offer.
No, I was not, because, like I said, it's a story that Chris Nolan told with those 3 movies.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting the next time Batman showed up, it to be part of that Chris Nolan story.
How important is it to you to be in physical shape as an actor? Seriously, because you're a good-looking dude.
Hey, thanks.
If I may say.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got a good look to you. I wish I
I love in this studio.
No. You're a handsome guy. I'm going to be honest.
Thank you very much.
I would like to look like you.
Richard Simmons was just trying to get you to say something romantic. You saved it for...
While you're wearing to you, I'll say something romantic. Well, you're wearing a T-shirt. I can see you're in pretty good shape. You know what I mean? You got a good look to you. Do you go to the gym? Do you hit it every day?
So when I was making Don John, I went to the gym a lot.
You were pretty pumped up.
Yeah, a lot. I put on a bunch of weight, eating and working out every day. And
is that the trick? You have to put on weight.
Yeah.
And who trains you? Like, you get a guy?
I did. I hired a guy, and his name's Aaron, and I actually knew him because he trained Channing Tatum is a friend of mine.
And he teaches you what to eat so you'll gain weight, but you don't get a big belly because you work out like a motherfucker.
Because you work out so much that you just eat and eat and eat and eat.
What's the regimen? I gotta get some size on me. It's ridiculous.
I don't think the bodybuilding's all that healthy, really. It's really just a looks thing, which is why I wanted it for that character. Is, again, he's like this vain dude. Everything in his life is this, this one-way street. So he goes to the gym and he looks in the mirror and he does his curls and, it's chest on Monday, back on Tuesday.
You were doing the heavy workouts, right?
I was doing that 5 days a week.
It doesn't blow you out? I mean, to the point that you like, when I try to work out heavy, I can barely function. Like, I can't get on the radio and do a decent show.
No, it's like a part-time job, and it's not that healthy for you. I did another movie where I rode a bike every day.
Right.
Where I was playing a bike messenger, and I rode every day. That I felt healthy when I was riding a bike every day.
Right.
But doing the bodybuilding, eating all that food and putting on all that weight, it didn't feel healthy. It looked...
And
it looks like it looks.
And after you shoot Don John, then you just like, hey, screw it. I'm not gonna put this kind of regimen in anymore, right? That's it's ridiculous.
I don't have time. That was a lot of time out of my day.
How many pounds did you gain for Don John?
12 pounds.
12 pounds of solid muscle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Well, I'm small. I have a slender frame. I'm not one to naturally.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
It's my type.
This is going so well.
I know. Huh? So
You two are going to have a date after this.
When you worked with Daniel Day-Lewis,
Yeah,
you play
Lincoln.
you play Lincoln's son.
Mm-hmm. Is there water? I can drink some water.
What are you, a big shot? You need water?
Can you hear
Come in
it?
with your own water?
Sit back down.
Hey, wait,
Is this where I'm supposed to be sitting, by the way?
It's
How's
fine.
it?
You're getting a little too fucking comfortable asking for water. Let me understand something here. When you work with a guy like Daniel Day-Lewis, as an actor, he says he stays in character all day long. I don't know if that was hype for the movie or what.
No.
He was in character. He was Lincoln all
He was
day.
Lincoln when he wasn't Lincoln.
Is that weird?
I was so impressed, and I don't know how you feel about his work, but I think he's sort of
terrific.
A unique phenomenon. It's brilliant, the shit he does.
Oh,
So whatever it takes, I'm down.
But
And I
did
love
Lincoln take a car to the studio?
So he's not exactly always.
They get crazy.
It's more of like he stays in the voice, he stays in the mood. If you wanted to talk to him, it's not that you couldn't talk to him, but you weren't gonna. I wasn't gonna say like, oh, what about those Lakers? I was gonna be like, look at this painting that's on the wall or something. If we were gonna talk,
because you're talking to Lincoln.
Yeah, to stay.
But he doesn't show up in a horse and carriage when he comes to the set.
but when I arrived, I received, or I found a note that he had written me on old paper with a quill and ink.
Wow.
And
Oh,
he
my goodness.
apparently in penmanship that he had studied that is similar to, I mean, he obsesses
Amazing.
for a year before he does a role, and he just works the character for a year.
But is that? I don't know what your technique is when you act. Did you have it? Did you go to acting school?
I took some acting classes when I was little, like 9, 10, 11,
Right.
but other
you
than
never,
that, I haven't
at
studied.
Columbia,
no.
you didn't study acting at all?
No.
You just, what was your major in Columbia?
I dropped out before I picked a major, but it would have been like French. I studied quite a bit of French.
Why? No one speaks French. Why not speak Spanish?
That is true. I think I was studying it more. I learned probably as much about English in studying French as I did.
Oh, you dropped out of school.
And I dropped out of school.
Oh, I was complimenting you that you went to school.
Yeah, you thought he finished.
I got a good, I think, school experience.
How many
and
years
then
did you last?
About. I was in the middle of. No, I'd started my 3rd year when I stopped.
And then you said, "This is bullshit. I'm going back to Hollywood."
You know what actually happened is for my 21st birthday, I got myself a copy of Final Cut, the video editing software, and I got so into it, and I would just stay up all night, shooting little videos, putting them on my computer, cutting them, because then you can really make movies. Once you're editing, it's not just shooting stuff. You can make them into movies.
Aren't you shocked at these digital cameras that you could sit there and shoot your own stuff, and it's almost like a movie quality,
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's like it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You
And
could really make a short film out of your house with software and cameras that really it's not that expensive.
Absolutely. You can make one on your phone nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not that everybody can afford it. There are people that don't have computers and cameras. And
Didn't
stuff.
you once you hate the paparazzi, right? You hate that wole scene.
It's kind of true, yeah.
Yeah. Why? Did you have a bad experience with the paparazzi?
Every experience with them is bad. They're rude. They're hostile
they
people
fuck
in
with
general.
you. So you made a short film. Did you do that sort of on your own, like a little?
That was actually right around, I think I was 22, and I was just
You were
learning
pissed.
Final Cut.
Right.
And I was walking down the street. These guys came up to me and started taking my picture, which doesn't really happen to me very much, and certainly didn't 10 years ago.
Right.
And I had my camera on me, so I started shooting them and having a conversation with them, and I cut it down into this video. It was the first video I ever put up on YouTube.
Right.
A long time ago.
Yeah, and so your hatred for the paparazzi.
Now, hatred is a very strong word, man.
well, you don't like the whole Hollywood gossip scene and stuff, and
How do you stay out of it, a young guy, single guy?
You can't.
I don't know. I'm kind of boring. I like to work all the time. That's mostly what I do.
So get back to when you work with Spielberg.
Yeah.
Are you sitting there almost studying Spielberg more than you are even thinking about your own role in the film? Because I would imagine as a guy who wants to direct,
yeah,
and now you're directing your first film, I would just sit there and soak in whatever this motherfucker's doing.
And I certainly did. And that's also, I think, the best way to do your job as an actor is to understand what the director needs.
Does he give you a lot of direction when you play Lincoln's son? Does he come to you and go, hey, listen, this is what I need you to do? What does he think?
Yeah, sure.
What is that voice?
He's got
That's your Steven voice.
He's got a little thing going on there, right? Seriously, is he the type, like Woody Allen doesn't give you any direction, right?
That's what I've heard. I don't know.
Right, you never work with the guy.
No.
But Steven Spielberg will tell you, he won't tell you how to be.
No, and he's actually, what he was really good at doing on Lincoln is taking the energy that the actors are bringing and figuring out, okay, I know how to capture this. And he can do it so deftly. And again, because Daniel is playing with such sort of organic spontaneity, Steven would have this uncanny ability to be like, oh, you're going to do it that way? Great, cool. Give me 1 second. I'm going to set up this shot. And he would say, Mr. President, can you please take a step to the left? And he'd set up a shot.
He had
so
to call
quick.
Daniel Day-Lewis Mr. President.
He called him Mr. President, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Everyone called him Mr. President.
What a weird set.
I mean, come on. Does it sometimes just get a little surreal for you? Like this is just a weird world that you live
Surreal
in?
is a great thing. That's what I'm after. What do you think
but
acting's about? That's the thrill of it, is going into some other place, becoming some other person.
But
That's what makes it fun.
Whatever you do to be an actor, once they say cut, I don't think you walk around as Lincoln's son, right? You don't,
Yeah, you're right.
You don't say you don't go and say I'm Joseph Gordon Lincoln, and you don't.
No, I do not. No, but I stay in the mood a bit. Doing Don John was interesting because I was going back and forth because I was directing
hard.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think
did you tell Scarlett Johansson what to do, or do you feel kind of weird about it?
It was more collaborative than that, but sure, yeah.
How'd you get her to be in the movie? You send her the script and just pray?
I did pray. I wrote it with her in mind the whole time, and I went and visited her. She was shooting The Avengers in Albuquerque. Right. I flew myself to Albuquerque because I wanted to talk to her before she read it.
Right.
And we had this really great conversation about, men and women and love and sex and relationships and the media and how people develop unrealistic expectations.
But if you're making a film like Don John for a couple of $1 million, you've got to then sit down with her and say, look, I need you to do this for almost free.
That's right.
And you give her some, back end?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not supposed to say that, but yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Well, what else are you gonna do?
And she deserves it. She was a big part of why the movie was able to get financed. If she hadn't agreed, we wouldn't have been able to raise those few $1 million.
No, and her name, you can get more of a release. Are you getting a wide release, or is
it's a wide release? Yeah, it's coming out in like 2,000-some screens.
So the studios and the movie owners and stuff, the movie theater owners, they all believe in the film.
Yeah.
Did you go to the festivals, or did you just...
We did the festivals. Well, yeah, because we made it independently without a studio behind it, and the idea was to go take it to Sundance, where you can hopefully get it picked up, and that's what happened.
What's Scarlett Johansson's story? Is she married, or she got a boyfriend or something?
She's engaged.
She's engaged. Oh, you can't even fuck around with her. Or maybe you did.
You know what? It's better for the movie, and this movie was my baby, so I it's better for the movie if you don't fuck around outside of.
But don't
rolling.
you really? It's not a cliche. You do need to be turned on by your leading lady, especially if.
And of course, I was turned on by her, and between action and cut, it's
So in other words,
it wasn't bad.
like you were falling in love with her during the making of the movie.
Acting is a funny thing about what you're feeling. Are you really falling in love, or is your character falling in love, or are you?
Are you confused by that?
Sometimes I'm confused. More I'm stimulated and inspired, and I love that because it goes to show that our feelings are something that we do have power over.
I'm not trying to be shocking here for a minute, but when you're in doing a better, because you have some graphics, not graphic, but I mean you're really with her.
You're rubbing up against.
You're rubbing up against.
Sure,
her.
sure.
You don't get an arousal when you're working with her.
Of course.
And do you apologize to her and say, "Listen, I'm aroused now. I have a full erection."
Nice sound effect.
I'm a method actor.
I've heard someone said that this is a Denzel Washington quote. I have never met Mr. Washington, so I don't know if he really said this. But apparently he said, don't, what did he say? Like, forgive me if I do get an erection, forgive me if I don't, basically.
Right.
Because it's not exactly an erotic situation. You've got all this crew all around you. You're shooting it for little pieces. It's a bit of a craft.
I don't understand the craft of it, because when I did my movie, no matter what woman they put me with, and I had scenes, I'd be erect. I really was. I'm being honest as I can be. I was aroused. I mean, I don't know, with a woman. I mean, what do I know
that
about
makes you an authentic actor, Howard.
I mean,
you're really feeling the scene.
I'm more in the Daniel Day-Lewis school.
Yes, clearly.
I'm like,
clearly.
The scene says I am erect.
You're biologically connected to your character.
But you could lay in a bed with Scarlett Johansson and do some really fucking heavy making out, grab her titties, whatever, and still not get an erection.
I don't think I'd didn't get an erection.
So what do you do?
I
Do you
can't
say to her-
confirm or deny whether I did or
But do you say to her ahead of time, look, we got to work this out. I want you to know you're an attractive woman, and this could possibly happen. I'm not trying to.
No, we don't need to
inside
talk
you.
about it.
You don't.
No. It's not that she doesn't know, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like she felt it.
Yeah.
Wow. Did she say to you, listen, calm down, Junior?
No.
But wait a minute. What about if
That
the
scene-
woman gets too into it?
So there you have it. I think we were both, look,
Are you kidding?
we're playing two characters that were enjoying each other. And
I know an actress. I'll never mention the name. I heard she demanded penetration in love scenes. Like, I'm not fucking with you. And this chick was hot. Like, this is someone you know. She would say, listen, if we're doing this, let's go. And that's
Okay.
something, man? You could put her in your next movie if you want. Man. That's how I would play it.
Yeah, I'll set it up. I'll make some demands.
Absolutely. You did Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah, I've done it twice.
Yeah, you're pretty good at it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did that make you nervous at all?
I love it, man. It makes you very nervous.
Being live,
it's
right?
Extremely exhilarating. Yeah.
And Spielberg doesn't make you nervous when you do, act in front of him.
It's different. I was pretty nervous too when I first met Daniel. Yeah, and was first working.
Does
with him.
Daniel approve you or Spielberg approve you?
You know, it was a real flattering thing because I was told that Daniel asked for me to play that part.
He did?
Wow.
Yeah.
How did he know your work? What movie attracted him to you?
That's a good question. You know, I never asked him that.
He said, I want you for the movie. And then
Yeah.
they bring you in. Do they make you read or you don't have to?
That time I did not. No.
Wow.
He sent me text messages, actually. He's quite an eloquent texter.
Really?
Daniel, yeah.
And, man, he wanted you for that film.
I know, man. That's a real honor
Dude.
because he's one of my favorites. He really
Yeah,
disappears.
you're on his radar.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
that's why it was risky for you to direct your own movie because when you get that kind of accolades, for you should just be acting all the time and raking in the dough.
Yeah, you know,
Look, Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't do that. He waits.
You're
yeah.
absolutely right about that. You know what? He does. He waits like crazy.
Are you going to play Doctor Strange? Have you heard this?
No.
I heard a rumor that you're a potential lead for Doctor Strange, which is a great comic.
Is it? I don't know.
Oh, Doctor Strange is weird.
Okay.
I mean, that's an acting challenge.
Is that right?
I like to see you do
What's he like?
He's mysterious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Does he have a superhero power?
Yeah, he's got all kinds of shit going on. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing.
What's so strange about him?
He's Doctor Strange.
I know, but why?
Well,
It's gotta be strange.
Listen, I have nothing
You're
to do with
pitching
the
me
movie.
this thing.
I'm
What
not
do you-
attached. I just wanted to know if you were up for it. That's all.
No.
Well, listen to me. This is exciting. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Why the three names? Why Joseph
Yeah,
Gordon-Levitt?
because, mostly assassins have those names.
That's right.
I didn't know that. My mom's name is Jane Gordon, and my dad's name is Dennis Levitt. And when they had kids, my brother and I took both their names.
Well, it's good for acting. I mean,
Is it good for acting?
Yeah, because I think if you're just like Joseph Levitt.
Right, doesn't have
kinda
the
boring.
same.
I mean,
Or
yeah,
Joseph Gordon. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Now, that has a ring.
Yeah,
All right,
it
I'll
does.
tell you. It sounds nice when you say it, Robin.
It does. It truly does. So what's the game plan? The movie's going to open up. Are you the type that's going to shit your pants on Friday? Like, when do you get word how the movie's doing? When does that happen?
Money-wise?
Money-wise.
Yeah,
Let's talk cash.
Friday.
You'll know if people are going to see the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think with this movie, because people really actually like it when they see it, that's why they've been screening it all over the country a lot, because...
You want to get buzz going.
And more even than the advertisements, people that actually see the movie itself really like it. So I think you might not be able to judge it by Friday because people that see it on Friday are going to tell their friends to go see it Saturday and Sunday and then the next weekend, hopefully.
How important is it for you to do this, to see a big box office on this movie? Like, what would make you happy? How much dough did we have to bring in this weekend?
Yeah, the truth is, as far as like professional satisfaction, what matters to me and what the box office numbers would make a difference is what kind of job I could do next. How much money could I raise to do my next movie?
That's what it's all about. If the movie's a hit.
And honestly, man, like that's already feeling really good. I feel like I'll be able
You're
to...
on track.
I'll be able to make what... I don't know exactly what movie I want to direct next, but I'm thinking I'm going to be able to, and that feels like the success,
Is Scarlett helping you promote the movie, or are you just
Absolutely.
She is?
Yeah,
She's going out, she's doing all the shows and everything?
Yeah. Yeah, she was just on Jimmy Fallon and et cetera. Julianne Moore's doing it. Tony's doing it. Everyone's
Julianne
supporting
Moore,
her.
how's it working with her?
Fantastic. You want to talk about a good
I've met her a
actress.
few times socially. She's very standoffish with me. I don't think she likes me.
Oh, really?
I think
That's
she's
not been my
nice.
experience with her at all.
Well, I'm me, you know. People have a strange reaction to me. I don't know why.
Is that right?
No, not everybody, but some people are standoffish. I don't know that she doesn't like me, but I mean, she's not.
I think she might find you intimidating.
I've actually sat next to her at dinner parties,
And she didn't talk to you?
literally has turned her back on me.
She's so sweet and
Stop
generous
it.
and
Is she?
funny with me. Yeah, she's really funny in this movie.
Do you think maybe you and Scarlett Johansson should release like a secret tape of her twerking on you or something? You know what I mean? Or to
you
promote
think that's
the film.
what we need to sell the flick?
Something viral. I don't know. I'm trying to think outside the box.
We were thinking of coming on your show. That was our plan.
That would have been nice. That would be fun. But you know, the thing is with this movie, you've been writing the thing and trying to get it done since 2008.
Yeah.
This is a long process.
You're
I'm
right.
gonna do some math. I think this is 2013. Now,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 5 years of your life.
You're right.
Give or
You're
take.
right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I wasn't working on it full time that whole time.
Yeah.
2008, 9. I'm probably more.
$24 million. Would that make you happy? Box office this weekend?
I'm not gonna bet a number. I'm not gonna bet a number. Don't make me bet a number.
If I told you today, the
don't
film
make me
brought
do
in.
it.
I've got a crystal ball. The film brought in $24 million. Would you be jumping up and down?
Absolutely,
for joy?
sure.
You would be thrilled.
Yeah, but that's.
If I told
So would
you,
Hollywood.
if I told you the film brought in $10 million.
Yeah, man. This movie cost $3.
So that's all we need.
Yeah, it's a win, man.
If we make $10 million this weekend.
Oh, no, I don't want to bet a number, man.
You are a nervous fucking wreck, aren't you?
Well, yeah, maybe I'm superstitious. I don't know. Like, no good can come of this, Howard.
If you put 5 years of your life into something, you
If I put 5 years of my life
you
into
want to
something,
see it pay off.
Yeah, but to me, the money it makes is not what's going to make it pay off or not.
Right.
That was never the intention of doing this. If I wanted to make maximum money, Don John is not necessarily. I would have made a horror movie. I would have produced a reality TV show or something.
Right.
You know, if I wanted to make maximum dough.
I think the movie will do well, and I will tell my fans I really did love it.
Thanks, man.
I really did. I think you did a great job.
Thank you. You thought it was funny?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was engaging, and I thought it was
fucking
actually
awesome,
sweet.
man.
At the end, I thought it was sort of romantic.
Thank you. Thanks,
You
man.
know, as romantic as a movie about a guy who jerks off all the time could be. And I
These
thought it
were
was
the
unusual.
notes you wanted to hit.
Yes, I thought it was an unusual film too, which is good.
I wanted to make something bold and take a risk. If I were gonna, put all the work into making the movie, I wanted.
And I
to
thought
do
your
something.
directing was strong. You know
Thank
what I mean?
you.
Like I didn't see any weird cuts or some kind of strange bullshit. You know what I mean? When you direct,
He
for the
looked
first
like
time,
he knew what he was doing.
Who do you rely on when you direct the first time? Because the first time you go in and do it, who's the DP? Is that the guy, the director?
Well,
of
you
photography?
rely on so many people, man. It's a collaborative process with the DP, the production designer, the editor, the music composer. So many people. It's a.
And
it's
how
a
do you
big
put that
collaborative
team
process.
together?
A lot of them are people that I knew. The producer had produced Brick and Looper, so he knows how to take a little amount of money and make it look like a bigger movie. The DP, I knew people from
Where'd
different.
you shoot that sucker? Because you got to go somewhere where it's cheap, right?
Mostly in L.A.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that where you live?
I'm from L.A. I was born and raised there.
Who do you hang with? I mean, and don't give me the dopey regular friends. I mean celebrities. That's what I want. Who's your hang? Yeah.
Who am I friends with?
Channing Tatum?
Chan is a friend of mine.
He's
We've
a good
done
dude?
3 movies together. He has a little cameo in Don John. He's really funny.
That's right.
Yeah, and he's a great dude. Yeah, definitely.
We like him.
Absolutely.
And you can party with him?
Sure. What do you
guys
mean by
smoke
party?
weed? Smoke weed?
I smoke a lot more weed than he does. He's
do?
not a big smoker, no.
You got medical marijuana?
I'm from California, dude. I grew up in L.A. in the Valley.
So you got that card where you can go into the store? And
I
get
don't
it?
have a card, no.
Why not? You obviously have
I should
medical
have a card. Clearly, I have all
Clearly
sorts
look
of
like
medical
you're-
problems.
you got a problem.
I'm still stoned from last night, that
Right.
chocolate I ate.
Is that you like that better than drinking, smoking weed, huh?
They're two very different things. Drinking can be fun sometimes, but no, weed is more. I certainly do it more often.
I cannot smoke.
Is it an everyday thing?
I go through phases sometimes where it's every day.
Yeah.
It's not every day these days.
Because I cannot smoke weed.
Yeah. Oh, no?
It's one of the great tragedies of my life.
That's too bad.
I've smoked weed many, many times, and I get insanely paranoid to the point that I'm no fun.
I pace around and have all sorts of good ideas. I was stoned when I first thought of Don John as a comedy.
Do you think marijuana can lead to like a more creative life? Is that one of the?
I think it's different for everybody, but certainly the way that I use it, I absolutely think it has a positive impact on my creative process.
The pot today is so strong.
It's super strong. You're
Super
right.
strong.
You don't have to smoke that much.
Do you take one hit and you get off, or can you smoke a whole joint?
It depends on how much I'm smoking, you know?
Wow.
I mean,
I admire you.
I mean, it's certainly not for everybody, and I definitely have friends for whom I would say it's a problem. But I also have friends that smoke quite a lot, and for them, it's not a problem.
Doing anything else? Coke, heroin, anything?
No, I don't like that stuff.
You don't? You stay away from anything heavy?
I tried cocaine once or twice and was like, I'm just not impressed. Like, I felt like I could make myself feel like this by myself. I don't need a drug for this.
It doesn't seem to do much.
No, I was not impressed.
I don't understand the addiction to it.
I guess if you never get that feeling of like, okay, yeah, let's go get him, then and you need a drug to do it, I could see how that would be addictive. But I guess I'm just lucky that I give myself that feeling a lot, like especially with work. Like, I remember the first time I tried cocaine, I was in the middle of doing a play. And every night, eight performances a week, right before you get on stage, you get this little rush.
Right.
You know? And I remember when I tried it for the first time, and I was like, this is kind of the same. Okay, so if you didn't have any other way in your life to give you that rush, I could see it becoming a problem. You start relying on this drug to give you that rush. But maybe I'm just lucky I found another thing in my life that gives that to me.
That's an interesting way of putting it, yeah. Maybe it's the absence of that rush that gets people into it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I
don't
agree
know,
with
but
that.
I don't like it. It's not comfortable. It tastes kind of shitty. I didn't like it.
I tell all the kids not to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not supposed to eat cocaine.
No, but when you snort it up your nose, it gives you that taste in like the back of your throat. You know what I mean?
Acid?
Yeah. I like LSD.
You do? See, that's
I haven't done
drug.
it very many times. It's so powerful. I've only done it a handful of times, but
that drug fucked me up.
Yeah. Did you do it right? You have to
No.
really take care and do it right.
I was by myself. I took a 4-way hit.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's
that's why drugs are dangerous. They don't tell you. There's nothing.
There's
no instructions.
That's if we're here talking about it on the radio, let me say, because I did just say that I have done LSD, and I even said that I liked it. Let me be really clear. You have to be very careful. It's extremely powerful.
It is.
And you should have someone who's not doing it. You should make sure that whoever you did get it is super trustworthy and someone you know has already taken a dose off
And
and
who
been
is doing
fine.
that? Who does drugs?
Oh, you know what? I was
Nobody's doing that.
I did a 4-way hit of blotter acid, and thank God I did have a friend who I don't think wants to be named, but I did have a friend who helped me out that night who was straight. And if I didn't have him, I think I would have lost my mind, honestly. And the guy I bought it from, he didn't say to me, hey, you're supposed to cut this up for 4 different people. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing.
That's terrible. Yeah, it's dangerous. You have to be really, really careful.
It's the worst. It almost ruined my life. Well, how's a girl get to date you? Seriously, what do we have to do to hook up with you? Are you in a relationship now, or are you single?
I have a girlfriend, but I tend not to really like to talk about it in public.
In the business or out of the business? I see you as one of these guys. You have to have a girlfriend out of the business.
She is not in show business.
See? Yeah, what'd you meet her? Like you met her at a restaurant or something?
We have mutual friends. Yeah.
Got introduced?
She's, we have lots of mutual friends.
You in love with her?
Oh, geez, man. Come on.
Wow.
No, this is getting private. This is getting private.
How long you been with this broad?
I mean, now this is interesting because I don't want to like why should we talk about the personal details of,
you want to
my
know why?
relationship?
I'll tell you why. I'm going to give you a good reason.
Okay.
Why. Somebody once asked me this.
All right.
I'm in love with my wife.
Yeah.
I love this woman.
Okay.
There's no greater joy in my life than even like if we get invited out to an event, holding her hand, even if I have to walk on a red carpet, putting my arm around her, I get tremendous comfort from being with her.
Yeah.
So why all the secrecy? Like I've talked to people.
Well, maybe everybody isn't finding that, Howard.
Well, maybe not.
Let me give you a reason. Maybe you'll take this or not. So, but what you and I do is a little different. You get on the air and your performance is as Howard Stern yourself.
Okay.
I get up in movies and I play other people.
That's true.
So when the audience is watching me in movies, I don't want them thinking about me and who I'm dating and blah
You
blah
got a
blah.
point
I
there.
want them to see the character, the story that I'm telling. You know?
Why? But why?
But also, maybe their relationship is developing, and they don't know where it's going to go,
Oh, it sounds
and
like
they don't
she's
need
smart.
this kind of scrutiny.
All right, how long have you been with this girl?
What did
Give me a month.
Robin just say? What did she
one-
just
one-
say?
I'll tell you why. I've got a relevant point to make. How long have you been with her? 6 months? A year?
What do you want me to? I don't like.
Wow.
I don't like disclosing details like this. I feel like
I don't get that. I still don't, because
what
actors,
if she doesn't want those details? Does she?
She wants that. She
No,
wants
I'm
you to come
telling
out
you
publicly
that
and
she
scream
does
out
not.
that you're in love with her.
I'm telling you now that that's not true. Actually.
Well, what was she, the vice president of the United States? What, she got a
Yeah, it's Hillary
classified job?
Clinton he's with.
What is that? Are you crazy? Who's she, Sarah Palin?
Yes, Sarah Palin
You're
is my
dating
girlfriend.
Sarah Palin.
We've been together for a good
Palin?
6
Come on.
months. And,
Look at you. I don't know, man. I don't get that whole thing. Like, I'll watch a talk show and like someone will walk out and go, "I can't talk about my relationship," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck you." Just
no, but seriously, the girl that I'm with, she really doesn't want to be a part of that, and you can imagine not wanting to have that scrutiny.
I cannot imagine it.
You can't imagine.
Well,
You're in love with-
he's
she's
like
in
a
love with
twin.
She's in love with you. And she's so
Maybe.
proud to be in a relationship with you. And she's playing the game, too, that, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt doesn't want me to say that I'm his girlfriend. So everyone's like into the whole let's secrecy thing. Listen, you'll go over there, I'll go over there, we'll meet up later. It's a game. Just fuck her and just announce it to the world.
I actually don't think that's the case with this particular person.
It is.
The story you're telling is something I get that certainly
Part of the
happens in life.
excitement.
That happens, but I think that that's not true in this particular case.
All right, fair enough. I'll leave you alone with that.
I appreciate that.
The movie is called, I've seen this movie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's onto something. Not only I'm proud of this guy because he wrote the movie, he directed the movie, and he stars in the movie, and you made a good movie.
Thanks, man.
It's
You're being
funny.
so cool. I really appreciate
Well,
it.
I'll tell you what. I'd tell you, get the fuck out of here if I didn't think it was good. I really would.
Thank
I
God.
never would have invited you in if I didn't like the movie.
Can I ask you something really quick?
Go ahead, anything.
The show.
I thought you were
trying
going to
to
ask me if
remember.
my cock was small.
No,
most people want to know.
The TV was there. I have this memory of after Saturday Night Live. Long time ago, I would stay up. My brother would stay up and watch Saturday Night Live, and I have an older brother.
Right.
And if I could stay up late enough when I'm a little kid, after SNL, the Howard Stern show would come on like NBC. Am I right?
Yeah. There were different incarnations. I did a show that you probably saw in California. It was for 2 years I did a show. It was like a sketch show.
Yeah,
Saturday Night
that's
Live
it.
type show. And it was out of the, we used to beat.
Wait, that was just local California?
It was local, and we were up against Saturday Night
Seriously?
Live here in New York, and we beat them like 3-1 in the ratings because it was an outrageous show. And I remember it. I wrote it with Fred and a guy named Jackie. The three of us wrote the whole thing pretty much, and we had some guys wrote other things, right? Fred, Mark Cronin did some writing.
Yeah, you had a few other guys there.
But we basically wrote the whole thing.
Because my brother would stay up late and watch that, and he would always, because I loved SNL, and he was like, nah, the cool thing to watch is the Howard Stern show after that.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, and let me tell you something. That was a hell of a show. It burned me out, though. It was very hard to.
Too much.
I edited it with two guys in my basement.
Wow.
It
See,
was
I'm in the
nuts.
middle of making a TV show now.
Right. What for? Who?
For this new cable channel called Pivot. You heard of this new channel?
No.
Yeah, there's a new channel. It's like it just started in August.
Sketch show you're doing?
It's like a variety show. There'll be short films and songs and cartoons and short docs and stuff
Are you
like
in
that.
it?
Yeah. I host it and I'm directing it and I'm performing it. And
How
yeah,
the hell do you have the time?
it's made collaboratively. Like we use the internet and people are contributing to these different pieces.
so you're not
This
doing
is what
every
I've been
segment.
doing. This is what I've been doing all year. I went straight from working on Don John to working on this TV show.
I'm just wondering if you shouldn't just cash in and do a couple of big movies.
I'm gonna do another movie soon enough.
What do you got lined up? Anything cool?
I don't have anything lined up yet.
Dude, what do we got to come up with a game plan for you. Don't fuck up. These are years to bank. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. You're right.
You're on fire. Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, let's ask the question. Wait a minute. Like, he was a child star on a hit series. How much money did he make? Did he hold on to the money?
Yeah, I'm really lucky that my dad is really smart with money and is
they weren't
always
looking to rip you off either.
helped me. They were not exactly because that happens or has happened.
Could the old man make a good living in working for Pacifica Radio doing news?
He stopped doing that when he had kids.
Yeah, I bet. You can't make a dime doing that.
He started
had
a
to go
small
get a real
business.
job.
He's a small business.
What's he
owner.
do?
He makes like technology and software for mini storage facilities.
You give them dough, or are you?
No. He has a small business with like 20 employees, and he's had it for 20 something years. And now I'm starting a business. That's Hit Record is like my company, where I'm not just working for someone else.
For the man. I get it.
That's you, right? You're the man.
Oh,
you're doing pretty damn well with all this, man. Congratulations.
Yeah,
it's
but
crazy.
I work for people. You know, I'm a worker. I'm like blue collar, man. You go in, you get a paycheck.
That's not entirely true. You are more powerful than any of the corporate executives that run the companies. You're way more powerful than any of them.
I'm doing my thing.
Well, then why do they keep firing him?
But you're doing it on your own, though. That's cool. I really admire that you figured out a way to do like your show that was the best for you.
Right.
I admire that. I want to be able to do that as an artist and not just fit into the way that it's always done.
It ain't easy. The new movie, Don John, he directs it, he wrote it. I'm giving it a big thumbs up. You got to go see it, Robin. You'll love it.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure meeting you.
The pleasure is mine.
Hey,
buddy.
real good seeing you.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah, and we'll be back right after these words.
Joseph, since you've been acting since you were very young,
yes,
you've done various press junkets and interviews over the years. How is this separate from all the others?
This feels like a conversation. It felt like I met this guy who I know him from his work, and he knows me from my work, and we had never met each other, but we got to know each other a bit. And man, super friendly, generous dude. He's really, really nice. I care a lot about this movie that I made, and for him to tell everybody who's listening that he really likes it, and for him to clearly mean it, meant a lot. That meant a lot to me.
And now that you are a filmmaker, what do you think is so interesting about Howard's character? What draws people in? What makes him...
That he's honest. That is completely it. That what the conversation he and I just had was an honest conversation. Two guys like getting to know each other. That's interesting to listen to. Most interviews that you hear in the press or whatever, they're not two people just talking and getting to know each other. There's some agenda, there's some show that's being put on, there's, whatever, some kind of preconceived routine or whatever. This was legitimately just a conversation. He and I sat down and talked for an hour. And I think that's interesting to listen to because it feels real, it feels honest.
Absolutely. Well, good luck with Don John. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, it's David Arquette. Here I am, back on the Stern Show, promoting a show called Dream School and a show called Cleaners that I have coming out. And I'm really excited because it's Robin's first day back, and I'm really excited to see her in the flesh. Maybe make another pass, see if it goes anywhere.
A lot of people are noting the coincidence that she's returning on the day you're appearing.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
You've got a magic about you, sir.
She's the magical one.
All right, David Arquette is here. Good friend of the show. David Arquette He is promoting a show called Dream School.
Hello.
Wow, you look good, dude. Wow. What's with the suit and tie? You look awesome.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Very handsome.
He can go out with Beth.
She looks awesome. It's so good to see you back.
It's good to be seen. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, Robin hasn't been in our studio for 17 months, David. Of course, she was very ill.
Yeah.
She got ill right after she kissed you.
Yeah, maybe it's all your fault.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry.
But actually, you know, I thought it was a little suspicious, Robin, that you came racing in when you heard David was going to be here.
We could seal that deal right now, Robin.
I am so confused by that whole story that you told the last time. That you and Robin actually had somewhat of a makeout session.
We did.
What were you? But be honest. What were you actually thinking that night? You called Robin or something where you paid for her tattoo.
She was in town, and then she wanted to get a tattoo. We went to Shamrock Social Club.
Did you get a new
Mark
tattoo?
Mahoney. I got plenty of tattoos.
I was watching you on TV the other night, and you had a big tattoo over here on your wrist.
Yeah.
Let me see what's doing there.
King of Hearts.
King of Hearts.
Yeah.
So you took Robin to get her tattoo.
Yes.
Did you get a tattoo with her?
I
you were
did.
in the chair, yeah.
What did you get?
I think I got my grandfather. I think I got a portrait of my grandfather.
And Robin had asked you for some tattoo advice, who to go to, I guess. Yeah. And you offered to pay for her tattoo, which she accepted.
Yeah, Mark Mahoney. He's the best.
Right. And how much did Robin's tattoo cost? She has very expensive taste.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I took her for wine. She ordered an $800 bottle of wine.
I brought her wine at that place.
He bought me a very nice
very fine bottle of wine.
$800?
No.
What do you mean you bought her a bottle of wine where? At the tattoo place?
No, at the
He
store.
brought it with him when he arrived. He had it.
So you had wine when you were getting tattooed?
Yes.
I thought you're not allowed to do that because they say don't be drunk when you're...
Well, maybe we didn't do it inside their place. I don't know.
So you waited till you got outside. All right, that's good.
Yeah, we stood in with a brown bag.
I like that. People are worried about people being drunk when they get tattoos. But
well, your blood does thin. You know?
It does,
so,
yeah. So, and then you paid for the tattoos.
Yeah.
And then you drove Robin back to her hotel?
No, she got a cab.
No, one of your friends drove me.
One of my friends drove me?
Yeah, took me back.
Now, when did you kiss her?
Before she left.
All right, so Robin was leaving the tattoo place.
Yeah.
It's a bonding experience when you get tattooed together.
Yeah.
We're feeling good about her. She's obviously delightful.
She is.
The big jugs were talking to you.
I know.
And Robin, he leans in, you describe to kiss you goodbye, and much to your surprise.
Well, you know how you hug a friend when you're saying goodbye?
Right.
And it became a kiss.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
And a kiss on the lips with tongue.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, come on, Robin, let's go fuck.
You were ready to fuck her.
Absolutely.
And Robin says no.
She was like, I gotta get up or some kind of. She had some story. She gave me like I was like, all right, I'm not gonna pressure.
What a story that would have been. You fucked David Arquette.
Exactly.
Is she responsible for you breaking up with the beautiful Courtney Cox?
No, that was far after.
Oh, it was far after. Okay, so if Robin was at the start of that would have been fantastic. You know, that you just left your wife for Robin. That's what she's caught. That's what Robin does. So you were quite taken with her that day, and you were ready to fuck.
Who's not?
Right.
Robin's the greatest.
It would have been beautiful.
It's like sleeping with the queen of all media.
Right. And so she says, so how did she let you down? You said, hey, come on, Robin, I'm sure you didn't say, let's go fuck.
No, I was like, what are you doing? You know, I'm trying to throw my... You know,
he was still working on his tattoo. His grandfather's face was still being.
Well, he could have gotten back to that to get some nice pussy. He would go, right. I don't mean to be crude, but
Nubian princess,
right?
Yes.
I'll come back and finish this tattoo next week.
That's
I was worried about the tattoo being completed properly.
All right. Well, you're very beautiful that way. So you kissed her and you tongued her.
Yeah.
And you said to her, "Okay, let's go," and she says, "No."
Yeah.
Wow. And you're not used to no. I mean, you're a good-looking guy. Are you
kidding?
You're a big star.
Of course I'm used to no.
And you're good-looking, you know?
Oh, I don't know.
You've
it was
been
also
rejected
kind of
before?
like... Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm surprised.
But it was like a fun little thing. And it was just like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Let's go hang out. Let's have some more fun.
Yeah. Let's go see if something fun can happen. You know, like my penis inside of you.
Yeah.
That's fun.
How fun would that be?
How fun? That's fun.
That is fun.
It is.
Especially, we're both single. It wasn't like a...
Well, you weren't with your girlfriend yet.
No.
No, way before her.
Christine.
Christina. Yeah.
Now, what's going on with Christina now? Are you guys? I read you're either together or broken up.
Why would you believe any of these lies?
Well, who else
These
am I
guys
going
are
to ask
such
you?
knuckleheads.
I can't ask you. I'm uncomfortable talking directly to you. So you're with that beautiful girl. So.
Yeah, Christina McClarty. She's my girl. Yeah.
Wow.
She took you seriously.
She did. Yes.
She fucked you.
She didn't reject me. Although it took a while, actually, for her.
Was Christina upset you were coming here to see Robin today? I'm being serious.
No, she was actually cool, even when I came out with that
she was
revelation.
She understood.
She was
Even
like,
she
really?
understood.
You tried to fuck Robin? I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, right. And so she supports you in fucking Robin. She's okay.
I don't know if she'd give me a pass if you get like those passes.
Weekend hall pass?
No, you get those those one. You get to pick one person, which is a game you can't really play when you're in Hollywood because you actually meet those people.
Who else have you been rejected by? When you were after you left Courtney, you must have hit on a lot of women.
I don't know.
So were there other rejections?
There was a really brutal one, and I don't want to say her name, but it was so bad.
Was her name Jennifer Aniston?
No. I got a number of this girl and always thought was hot, and I called her up and I left a message.
Who was it?
I'm not going to say.
Was it that singer that you're attracted to?
No, I'm not attracted to that girl. She's a knucklehead. So, and then...
This is a famous woman.
Yeah, and then she called me back. She's like, listen. And I was like, hey, it's David. I'd really like to take you out to dinner sometime. You know, blah, 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 blah. She calls me back. She's like, listen, you left a message on my ex-boyfriend's phone.
Why did she give you that number?
I got the number from someone else.
Oh.
I was being shady. I was being sneaky.
No
kidding.
Not
sneaky enough.
So that was it. She says, oh, this guy's an idiot. He fucking left a message on my boyfriend's, yeah.
Probably so.
Oh, I wonder who it was. Was it Sandy Bullock? No? Younger or older?
Oh, she's amazing, though. No. It doesn't matter. What does it matter?
You know, in a way, you haven't really dated enough. And, like, you got single. And now you're hooked up. Like, you should have been out on the scene a little bit. You know what I mean?
I found an incredible, beautiful girl. So I didn't, need to. And trust me, I'm good. Like, I don't need to cross anything off my list.
No? You're okay.
Yeah.
So the last time you called in, you dropped a bombshell that you were drinking again. And it was news everywhere.
I know.
People love to hear these things, don't they?
Well, they just like to kind of make me look like a knucklehead. Or just talk trash. I just don't understand it anymore. I'm just so over it. People talk shit about everybody all the time.
I know that's driving you crazy.
It drives me crazy. Does it not drive you crazy?
But that's our culture. It's always been gossip.
It doesn't have to be our culture.
You go back to the days of Hedda Hopper and all these gossip people.
Well, then let's not cry too much when we shut down the government and the whole fucking world's crumbling and there's violence and people going crazy because people go crazy because they've been bullied and they've been stomped on and they just have had enough and then they snap and they go out and do something drastic.
Did you stop your Twitter account after you announced that you were drinking again?
Yeah, on this show,
Because people were giving you so much shit on Twitter?
Yeah, and they were lying. There was an article recently about me. I went out to dinner with my girl and then I drop her off at home and I have to drive out to Ventura to do a movie because I'm starting at 5 in the morning.
Right.
Drive out to Ventura. They make this article about me going into a strip club after I dropped my girlfriend off.
I read that.
Yeah. Well, I went to a strip club the night before.
Go ahead.
I did.
All right.
I go to strip clubs all the time.
So
it's not like a big story.
Right.
But they made it look like I dropped my girlfriend off and then I ran off to a strip club. They obviously have the dates on the pictures that they're putting the story together.
I read that you guys were broken up.
No.
And then you went and had dinner with her. And then you went to the strip club.
It's like complete lies. No. I went to the strip club the night before.
What are you doing in strip clubs? What's going on?
I love strip clubs.
Me
I go
too,
to them
but
all the time.
Doesn't your girlfriend kind of...
No, my girl's cool.
What are you
know
doing?
I mean?
You getting hand jobs over there?
No, absolutely not.
Shit.
No, I really don't.
What do you do there?
Well, I do something amazing.
What do you do?
Where I buy roses.
Go ahead. Let me hear this.
And I'll get like $20 or $40.
Right.
And like 4 roses. You take the petals off. and you make it rain with dollar bills and rose petals.
Is that what you do?
That's my way of spreading a little love.
Well, really? You know what? You are about peace and love.
That's
Peace
it.
and love.
That's it.
You're really so sensitive about it. You really keyed into this gossip
Well,
thing.
I actually am not listening to it anymore. And you know what? I always get in trouble when I come onto your show. I did Andy Cohen last night.
I was watching. That's right.
And they said, like, somebody called up. I was like, why do you keep going on Howard Stern? He always gets you in trouble.
I get you in trouble.
Yeah,
what did we do?
Hey, what did I do?
Well, you just ask all the questions. You know what I
Right.
mean? You are the best interviewer alive right now. So
thank you.
And if you want to be honest and have fun and play the game and be silly, then you answer the question. You have fun with it. You
Please
don't-
play the game and tell me what girl you called to get that answering machine the boyfriend, because that's just the greatest story I've ever heard.
Ava Mendez.
Is it really?
Really?
Yeah. Ava Mendez.
Well, I was always a
Boy,
fan
she's
of her.
hot.
She's
Yeah.
gorgeous, and we also were, involved in the same charity. at some
Right.
point.
Oh, she
Sorry,
is-
Ava. I hope you're not upset.
No, why would she be upset? So what? You were
Well,
attracted to her?
nothing
Join the
happened.
club.
You just called her boyfriend.
Who was her
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend?
Oh, really? I'm sorry. The ex-boyfriend is
Who was the ex-boyfriend? That's what I
I'm
want
not
to know.
exactly sure, but he was absolutely
Ava
cool.
Mendez.
Not a
Ooh,
jerk.
man, if you had gotten into her pants.
It's fine. She's a sweet, kind person. I liked her because we're part of the same charity, Art of Elysium, which is a really incredible.
So she was
charity.
cool about it. She just said, "Look, I can't go out with you because you did a bonehead move."
No, she didn't even say that. I just think
It just
she
flew.
thought I was a bonehead. Yeah. I just think, yeah, I crawled into my dirty little cave after that.
You know who she dated? You know who you must have called? Ryan Gosling.
No,
Yeah.
it was before all that. It was
Before Ryan
all
Gosling.
that,
I wonder
yeah.
who you called. That's what I want to know. The guy probably is yelling at her.
Oh, no.
Stop
he's-
having David Arquette
He was
call.
really cool. He was very kind about it.
Oh, my God. Oh, you mean some guy picked up and you go, "Hey, can I speak to Ava?"
No.
No, I left a
No.
message.
Oh, what'd you say on the message?
It was such a douchey message.
Hey, I just finished making out with Robin Quivers. You want to get together?
Probably.
Wow. But you know what would have been cool? If, like, on the message you said, "Hey, look, I want to have dinner with you, meet me at blah, blah, blah." And the ex-boyfriend shows up and goes, "Okay, I'll have dinner with you."
Yeah.
That would have been very cool.
Yeah.
So you've gotten so affected by, you came out about the drinking, and then it just was like one hateful thing after another, rather than being supportive.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people can judge all they want, but
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. It's like, I'm going to do the Today Show later,
Yeah.
and Hoda and Kathy Lee have wine glasses on their thing at 10 o'clock. I don't drink at 10 o'clock, and these ladies, I just don't understand it.
No one's judging them.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But whatever.
How is the drinking going? Are you able to control it, or are you just completely out of control?
No, I control it. I mean, I drink. I have my wild nights once in a while, but
Right.
I don't know. And that's the quote they're going to take.
What?
I have my wild nights once in a while. You know what I mean?
And then they'll
but
try
whatever,
to find a
it's just,
picture to match it, right?
Yeah, and
All right, let me get
I'm
it
a
straight.
good person, and the bottom line is, I've got successful businesses. I have a production company. I'm on time. I do my work. I'm an actual kind person that doesn't screw people over like these reporters who write these stupid articles.
Did all your AA buddies and stuff say to you, "Hey, you can't go back to drinking"? Were they trying to beg you not to do it?
No, the cool ones were like, they don't judge. You know
They
what I
don't.
mean? And they're like, if you need anything, you got to do what works for you.
Right. And Christina didn't give you any shit about going back to drinking?
No,
Wow.
Christina's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Usually a woman will give you tons of shit, although maybe she thinks you're more fun now.
Well, I don't want to be in a relationship where somebody's giving me shit all the time.
And then
That's
she
not-
turns into your mother.
Yeah, I'm done with,
Hey, how about your sister being on Ray Donovan?
I know,
That was
amazing.